Introduction. I remember a mentor, a brilliant engineer, who confided in me that his greatest frustration wasn't the complexity of his projects, but the golden handcuffs around his wrist. Every morning, he'd drive into the same office, knowing he was significantly underpaid for his market value, yet utterly unable to leave. Why? Because his entire family's lifestyle, his mortgage, his kids' tuition, everything was tethered to that single, predictable, bi-weekly deposit. He felt a gnawing fear that if he rocked the boat, if he pursued a more entrepreneurial venture he dreamed of, he'd jeopardize everything. His job wasn't security. It was a highly polished, very comfortable cage. He'd traded his potential for perceived stability, only to find himself trapped by his own success, watching opportunities outside pass him by because he couldn't afford the gap to pursue them. Take a moment to consider where this dependency might be showing up in your own professional landscape. This scenario reveals a fundamental truth many overlook. Your job isn't security. It's often the most sophisticated trap you'll ever encounter. Relying solely on a salary, while seemingly safe, drastically limits your potential for true freedom and growth. The first thing to grasp is that a single income stream, no matter how substantial, creates a single point of failure. Many professionals discover this when unexpected layoffs hit, or they find themselves unable to negotiate effectively because leaving isn't a viable option. Think of the moment when a boss made an unreasonable demand, and your immediate thought wasn't about pushing back, but about your ability to cover next month's bills. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that your real value isn't your job title, but your portable, market-demanded skills. Consider a time when a colleague, whose expertise was highly specialized within your company but not outside it, struggled to find new employment. Their supposed security was an illusion. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach. One shift that accelerates progress is actively identifying and diversifying your income streams while you still have your current job, building your runway before you need to jump. It's about reframing your current employment not as an endpoint, but as a strategic launchpad. Your runway starts now. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. While it's commonly believed that a long tenure at a reputable company paves the way to financial freedom, many professionals discover that traditional career paths often don't guarantee anything close to genuine liberation. Think of the senior executive, after 25 years of dedicated service, still tied to a grueling schedule, unable to truly step away because their lifestyle has inflated precisely with their salary, leaving no real runway for independence. Believing job tenure automatically equates to wealth is a pervasive status quo that often keeps people trapped in an endless cycle of trading time for money. The first thing to grasp is that true freedom comes not from loyalty to a single employer, but from building assets and skills that generate income independently. Many discover this stark reality when facing an unexpected market downturn or a company reorganization. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their focus on developing portable value and leveraging their expertise across multiple avenues, rather than concentrating all their earning power into one precarious basket. Consider a time when you witnessed a negotiation mistake, where a talented individual couldn't demand their worth because their dependency on that single job was too high. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously studying the strategies of those who have achieved financial freedom through unconventional means. This involves looking beyond the standard corporate ladder and understanding how others have built leverage, diversified their income, and created their own terms. Take a moment to consider how your current role might be hindering your exploration of these alternative pathways. It's about recognizing that relying on an employer for security is a myth. True security is self-generated. Your path to independence is paved by intentional design, not by default. Build your freedom, brick by brick. Now here's where the real shift begins. Many of us operate on autopilot, chasing what society tells us success looks like: the impressive title, the corner office, the high salary. But this constant pursuit of external validation can leave you unfulfilled, realizing that reaching the top of someone else's ladder doesn't guarantee liberation. This is why the core principle is to define what freedom truly means to you, not what it means to your peers or industry. Think of the moment when a colleague, after years of climbing the corporate hierarchy, confessed that despite all their achievements, they felt trapped by their success, working to maintain a lifestyle they didn't enjoy. The first thing to grasp is your ideal freedom isn't a universal formula. It's a deeply personal vision of your time, energy, and resources. Many professionals discover that the societal definition of success often comes with hidden chains, endless meetings, commute stress, or pressure within a system misaligned with their values. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that without a clear personal definition of freedom, you risk building a financial runway to a destination you don't even want to reach. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering clarity on the purpose behind their income generation and skill stacking, a purpose rooted in their personal freedom. The micro action for you: write down your ideal day, uncensored by work. Take a moment to truly envision what a day looks like when external pressures are removed and your choices are fully your own. This clear internal compass will become your most powerful tool for strategic career design and intentional living. Define your freedom, then build it. Moving from theory into practice, let's confront a subtle but powerful truth. Your fixed job comes with significant, often unacknowledged costs beyond your tax deductions. We frequently overlook the immense time, energy, and opportunity costs inherent in a conventional salary position, ignoring the substantial non-monetary price we pay for employment. This status quo leads many to undervalue their own time and potential, seeing only the gross pay, not the true net impact on their lives. The first thing to grasp is that your workday doesn't begin when you clock in, nor does it end when you leave. Consider a time when your 2-hour daily commute felt like unpaid work, draining your mental reserves before you even faced your first task. This hidden cost extends to the time spent preparing for work, winding down afterward, and the weekends recovering from the week's stress. This directly impacts your earning power by diminishing your capacity for skill stacking or side ventures. Another factor that changes everything is the opportunity cost. Think of the courses you could take, the side business you could launch, or the deeper connections you could forge if those commute hours or mental fatigue were reallocated. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their acute awareness of these invisible drains on their most valuable resources. One shift that accelerates progress is to realistically calculate your effective hourly wage, factoring in every minute spent on your commute, the money spent on professional attire, convenience foods, and even the emotional toll of workplace politics. Take a moment to genuinely consider what that true hourly figure might reveal about your current trade-off. Understanding these hidden costs illuminates the true value of your freedom and fuels the strategic choices required for your escape. Time is your truest currency. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. While the idea of escaping your job or achieving financial freedom sounds appealing, it often remains a distant dream because people operate with vague wishes instead of concrete plans. The truth is, strategic goals are your non-negotiable roadmap to escape. Vague wishes yield vague results. This status quo is precisely why many remain stuck, forever hoping for change without ever instigating it. The first thing to grasp is that an escape plan isn't a fantasy. It's a meticulously crafted career strategy. Many professionals discover that without clear, measurable objectives, their efforts scatter, resembling busy work more than focused progress. Think of the moment when you set a specific, achievable goal, like saving a precise amount for a down payment, and how that focus transformed your spending habits. This principle applies directly to building your runway. Another factor that changes everything is breaking down your overarching freedom goal into smaller, actionable micro steps. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not merely their ambition, but their disciplined execution of these smaller, often unglamorous tasks. One shift that accelerates progress is to transform your desire for change into a series of committed, immediate actions. For example, if your goal is to reduce budget stress, the micro-action might be to track every single expense for 1 week. Take a moment to identify one specific, small step you could commit to right now that moves you toward your definition of freedom. This immediate, purposeful action is the foundational stone of all significant change. Strategic action, not aspiration, builds your freedom. Chapter 1: The Wealth Mindset Ignition. I had a client, a brilliant graphic designer, whose work consistently won industry awards. Yet despite his talent, he lived with chronic budget stress. He'd often say, "Good art never pays well," or "You have to suffer for your craft." This deeply ingrained belief wasn't just a casual remark, it dictated his entire career strategy. He undercharged for his services, avoided discussing fees with potential clients, and even turned down lucrative projects that felt too commercial. He genuinely believed that high earnings were reserved for others, for those who weren't true artists. This limiting perspective paralyzed him, preventing him from leveraging his incredible skill into a sustainable, abundant business. He was convinced money was difficult, and so it remained difficult for him. The first thing to grasp is that financial freedom doesn't merely begin with a budget or an investment strategy. It fundamentally starts with your belief system. Your internal narrative about money, success, and your own worth dictates every financial decision you make. Many professionals discover that despite possessing valuable skills, they remain stuck due to deeply rooted limiting beliefs. Consider a time when you hesitated to ask for a raise or delayed launching a side project, not because of external barriers, but because a voice inside whispered, "I'm not good enough," or "That's too risky for someone like me." Another factor that changes everything is recognizing how these subconscious beliefs paralyze action. They keep you from exploring new opportunities, from negotiating your true value, and from seeing paths to income growth that are right in front of you. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their conscious effort to challenge and reframe these money stories. They understand that their mindset isn't fixed. It's a skill they can develop and strengthen. One shift that accelerates progress is identifying the specific money beliefs holding you back. Are you convinced that wealth is only for the lucky, or that you're not good with money? Your micro action for this section is to identify just one money belief you currently hold that feels like it's limiting your potential. Take a moment to bring one of those deeply held beliefs to the surface of your awareness. Just notice it. Until you challenge these internal limits, no external strategy can fully liberate you. Your mindset is your first fortune. With that foundation in place, let's address another critical aspect of your wealth mindset: the pervasive fear of not enough. This fear, this constant worrying about lack, is a common status quo that actively blocks the flow of abundance into your life and paralyzes you from making strategic moves. The core truth is that fear of not enough blocks abundance, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where scarcity always seems to loom. The first thing to grasp is that this scarcity mindset isn't just about money. It permeates your decisions regarding time, energy, and opportunity. Many professionals discover that even when their income increases, the feeling of not enough persists, leading to budget stress despite a comfortable salary. Consider a time when you held back from investing in a valuable skill-building course, not because you couldn't afford it, but because the underlying fear of future insecurity felt too strong. This mindset directly impacts your career strategy, often leading to risk aversion when a calculated strategic leap could unlock significant earning power. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that worrying about lack drains your creative energy, making it harder to identify new revenue streams or negotiate effectively. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to operate from a mindset of sufficiency, leveraging what they do have rather than fixating on what's missing. One shift that accelerates progress is cultivating genuine gratitude for your current resources. Your micro-action: practice daily gratitude for current resources. Acknowledge your skills, your network, your current income, even the roof over your head. Take a moment to bring to mind 3 things you are genuinely grateful for right now, however small. This simple practice reorients your perspective from scarcity to potential. Abundance starts with appreciation. This insight naturally leads us forward. A common trap for many is an incessant focus on problems. The market's too saturated. My boss is difficult. I don't have enough time. This status quo, Concentrating on problems instead of solutions inadvertently closes the door to potential. The core principle for financial acceleration is to cultivate a mindset of opportunity and growth, actively seeking solutions and possibilities even amid challenges. The first thing to grasp is that every challenge presents a hidden opportunity if you train yourself to look for it. Many professionals discover that the very limitations within their current job can spark the most innovative income growth ideas. Consider a time when a specific frustration at work, like a cumbersome internal process, led you to think, someone should build a tool for this. That someone could be you, creating a new revenue stream or service. This directly connects to career strategy, as it shifts your perspective from being a victim of circumstance to an architect of solutions. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that opportunity is rarely handed to you. It's perceived and created. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive habit of brainstorming, experimenting, and adapting. They don't wait for the perfect moment, they create the moment. One shift that accelerates progress is to consciously pivot from dwelling on limitations to actively generating solutions. Your micro-action. Brainstorm 3 new income-generating ideas, no matter how small or seemingly outlandish. Perhaps it's freelancing a skill, selling a digital product, or even offering a niche service in your local community. Take a moment to let your mind wander freely, without judgment, for potential new pathways. This deliberate cultivation of an opportunity mindset is the fuel for your entrepreneurial journey. Seek the solution, find the fortune. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A pervasive limiting belief, often unconsciously held, is that wealth and success are reserved for a select few. Those born with inherent genius, privileged connection, explicable stroke of luck. This status quo, believing only special people get rich, is a fundamental barrier. The core truth, however, is that success is meticulously built, not miraculously born. The first thing to grasp is that every single person who has achieved remarkable financial freedom started exactly where you are, often with fewer resources or more significant obstacles. Many professionals discover that the overnight success stories are almost always the culmination of years of consistent, intentional effort. Consider a time when you mastered a complex skill at work. It wasn't magic, but sustained practice. This applies directly to income growth and runway building. It's not about being special, but about being systematic. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that skill stacking and strategic learning are the true differentiators. Think of the moment when you needed a specific expertise for a project, and the person who stepped up was the one who had diligently cultivated that niche knowledge, often outside their official job description. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their relentless commitment to continuous self-improvement and skill acquisition. One shift that accelerates progress is to consciously dedicate time to learning new, market-relevant skills. Your micro-action. Choose one new skill to learn for 15 minutes today. It could be anything from a new software feature to a foundational principle of digital marketing. Take a moment to identify just one small area where a new skill could amplify your value. Your intentional effort, applied consistently, is the engine of your financial destiny. Build your mastery. Build your wealth. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Many of us carry invisible financial baggage, unspoken rules, ingrained beliefs, and inherited attitudes about money that dictate our choices without our conscious awareness. This status quo of unconsciously repeating generational financial patterns is a powerful, often debilitating force. The core truth is, to truly achieve financial freedom, you must intentionally replace these old, limiting money scripts with empowering, abundant ones. The first thing to grasp is that these scripts, often formed in childhood, aren't your truth. They're just stories you've adopted. Many professionals discover that even with increased income, they still operate from a scarcity mindset because a parent's adage, like "money doesn't grow on trees," continues to echo. This can manifest as an inability to invest confidently, an aversion to discussing compensation, or even client acquisition friction born from an unconscious belief you don't deserve high fees. Consider a time when a major financial decision felt deeply unsettling, and upon reflection, you realized it was tied to a long-held but unexamined family belief. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that these scripts directly impact your earning power and career strategy. Think of the moment when you avoided negotiating for a better salary, not due to lack of skill, but because an internal voice told you it was greedy or inappropriate. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their conscious effort to reframe these internal dialogues, understanding that an empowering mindset enables bold, strategic action and effective exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to actively create new, supportive financial affirmations. Take a moment to consider what money beliefs you might have unknowingly adopted from your past. For your micro-action, write a positive financial affirmation that resonates with your desired future, and then say it aloud to yourself twice. This deliberate act of self-programming is how you forge a new financial reality. Your words shape your world. Moving from theory into practice, let's address a common pitfall: the belief that financial freedom requires a single dramatic stroke of luck or a grand heroic gesture. This status quo of relying on grand gestures or luck often leads to inaction, waiting for something big to happen. The core truth is precisely the opposite. Small, consistent actions are the quiet architects of true wealth and lasting financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is the immense power of compounding, not just in investments, but in habits. Many professionals discover that neglecting small daily expenditures, like a recurring subscription or daily coffee, can silently erode hundreds or thousands from their annual savings potential. Think of the moment when you started a new exercise routine with just 10 minutes a day. Consistent effort, not intense bursts, builds endurance. This applies directly to building your financial runway and increasing your earning power. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that consistent small efforts eliminate the budget stress caused by erratic financial behavior. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in tracking and optimizing their financial inputs and outputs, even at a micro level. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the mundane, yet powerful, act of financial awareness. Your micro-action for today is simple. Track one financial habit, perhaps every dollar you spend or every instance you contribute to savings, for just one day. Take a moment to consider how consistent small efforts have already shaped positive outcomes in other areas of your life. This daily awareness builds the muscle of intentional financial management, creating momentum where grand wishes fail. Consistent action creates unwavering freedom. Chapter 2: Your Escape Velocity Blueprint. I remember speaking with a software developer who was incredibly talented, consistently exceeding expectations in his role. He earned a comfortable six-figure salary, but whenever I asked about his long-term financial freedom goals, his answers were always abstract: enough to be comfortable, or I just want to get out of the grind. He kept pouring extra hours into his job, hoping some magical financial threshold would reveal itself. The problem was, without a concrete number, his comfortable kept expanding with his lifestyle, and his escape remained a perpetual mirage. He had ambition, but no fixed target, constantly working hard, but never truly knowing how close he was to breaking free. His vague financial goals led only to drift, not to a destination. Take a moment to consider if you've ever felt that same sense of financial aimlessness, working without a clear target. This scenario highlights a fundamental truth. To truly build your runway and achieve job escape, you must quantify your target financial independence. The status quo of vague financial goals ensures only drift, never decisive momentum. The first thing to grasp is that a precise number acts as your unwavering compass, guiding every decision in your career strategy and income growth efforts. Many professionals discover that without this clarity, they fall into the trap of salary ceilings, simply accepting raises without understanding how they contribute to their ultimate freedom. Another factor that changes everything is that quantifying your target passive income allows for concrete exit planning. Think of the moment when someone presented a clear business case with specific revenue projections. That precision inspires confidence and action. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to reverse engineer their desired lifestyle into a tangible financial figure. giving them leverage in negotiations and focus for skill stacking. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from a general wish to a specific command. Your micro action for this section is to calculate your monthly desired passive income for true freedom. Your clear target is the blueprint for your liberation. Numbers unlock true freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. While quantifying your financial target is crucial, numbers alone aren't enough to sustain you through the inevitable challenges of building freedom. This is where a common status quo falters. Weak motivation leads to quick abandonment when the path gets tough. The core truth is that your deepest, most personal motivations are the only fuel powerful enough to sustain consistent action over time. The first thing to grasp is that true motivation is intrinsically linked to what financial freedom unlocks for you, not just the money itself. Many professionals discover that superficial desires, like getting rich, quickly fade when faced with the hard work of skill stacking or client acquisition friction. Consider a time when you passionately pursued a goal not for external reward, but because it genuinely resonated with your values. That profound internal drive is what you need to tap into for exit planning. Another factor that changes everything is connecting your financial goals directly to your vision of a liberated life. Think of the moment when the thought of spending more time with family, pursuing a passion project, or contributing to a cause became more powerful than any fear of failure. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering clarity on their why, which acts as an emotional runway, pulling them forward during setbacks. One shift that accelerates progress is to deeply explore what financial freedom truly enables in your life. Your micro action. Journal for 5 minutes on what financial freedom unlocks for you. Be specific about the experiences, the relationships, and the impact. Take a moment to allow those profound desires to surface, connecting them to your financial purpose. This deep emotional connection transforms financial strategy from a chore into a compelling mission. Your purpose powers your progress, moving from theory into practice. Many aspiring entrepreneurs and freedom seekers fall into the trap of waiting for a perfect revolutionary idea, the next billion-dollar startup. This status quo, hoping for a grand singular breakthrough, often leads to paralysis and missed opportunities. The core truth, however, is that sustainable freedom more often comes from accumulating small, consistent wins by solving problems for others. The first thing to grasp is that income growth is directly proportional to the value you provide in solving problems. Many professionals discover that their most lucrative opportunities arise from addressing mundane, overlooked issues for clients, not from chasing world-changing innovations. Consider a time when a simple, reliable solution to a recurring problem at work brought disproportionate relief. This applies directly to client acquisition friction. The clearer you are on a problem you solve, the easier it is to attract those who need it. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that small problems often have a large, addressable market. Think of the moment when a niche service or product, seemingly unremarkable, generated consistent income because it perfectly filled a gap for a specific group of people. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to identify existing pain points and then offer practical, repeatable solutions. One shift that accelerates progress is to intentionally focus on what specific problems you, with your unique skill set, can solve for others. Your micro-action. List 5 current problems you or others encounter that you could potentially solve for someone else, no matter how small. Take a moment to let your mind freely identify everyday frustrations you have the power to alleviate. Solving small problems consistently builds both expertise and a robust financial runway. Serve many, earn much. Now, here's where the real shift begins. Many well-intentioned individuals embark on the journey to financial freedom by haphazardly pursuing every new opportunity that surfaces: a new investment trend, a fleeting side hustle, another online course. This status quo, chasing opportunities without a clear destination, often leads to burnout and minimal progress. The core principle for consistent success is to start with the end in mind, then rigorously work backward. The first thing to grasp is that your freedom number isn't just a goal, it's the anchor from which you chart your entire course. Many professionals discover that without this reverse engineering approach, their efforts feel fragmented and ineffective, leading to perpetual budget stress rather than leverage. Consider a time when you planned a complex project at work, beginning with the desired outcome and then breaking it into sequential steps. The clarity was liberating. This applies directly to your career strategy and exit planning. Another factor that changes everything is that working backward illuminates the precise skill stacking needed and the income growth targets required at each stage. Think of the moment when you realized a specific skill bottleneck was preventing you from taking the next logical step toward a promotion or a new client. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to visualize their desired end state and then identify the critical milestones leading up to it. One shift that accelerates progress is to define these key waypoints. Your micro action for this section: outline 3 major milestones you must achieve to reach your calculated financial freedom number. Take a moment to map out those crucial stepping stones that will guide your journey. This backward planning approach transforms an ambitious dream into a series of achievable realities. Clarity creates velocity. With that foundation in place, let's turn to your most immediate asset, your existing skill set. A common status quo is underestimating your inherent value, believing you lack the special talents required for independent income. The core truth, however, is that you already possess a valuable array of monetizable skills that others are willing to pay for. You just haven't learned to see them that way. The first thing to grasp is that many of the tasks you perform effortlessly every day, perhaps even take for granted, are highly sought-after capabilities in the market. Many professionals discover that their common sense or basic organizational abilities are exactly what a busy small business owner or a time-strapped individual desperately needs. Consider a time when a colleague or friend asked for your help with something you found simple, but they considered complex. That's a potential income stream. This connects directly to building your runway. You don't always need to learn something entirely new to start generating income. Another factor that changes everything is shifting your perspective from employee tasks to client solutions. Think of the moment when you successfully navigated a difficult client acquisition friction simply by clearly articulating how your everyday skills solved their problem. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to translate their existing professional and personal proficiencies into tangible service offerings. One shift that accelerates progress is to consciously audit your daily activities for potential value. Your micro-action for this section lists 3 skills you use daily, at work or home, that others might genuinely pay for. Take a moment to honestly reflect on your natural aptitudes and the things you do well without even trying. Your existing expertise is a hidden gold mine waiting to be leveraged. Recognize your value, unlock your freedom. This insight naturally leads us forward. Far too often, our aspirations for financial freedom, for escaping the 9-to-5, remain abstract wishes, ethereal concepts floating in the distant future. This status quo, where dreams remain vague and undefined, is precisely why so many never transition them into tangible realities. The core principle here is potent. Visualizing your success in vivid, concrete detail makes it tangible and dramatically increases its likelihood. The first thing to grasp is that your brain is a goal-seeking mechanism, but it requires a clear target. Many professionals discover that without a definitive image of their desired financial freedom, their career strategy lacks direction, leading to haphazard decision-making and diluted earning power. Consider a time when you planned a significant personal event, like a wedding or a major trip. The more clearly you envisioned it, the more detailed and effective your planning became. Another factor that changes everything is how a clear visual acts as a powerful motivator, especially during skill bottlenecks or client acquisition friction. Think of the moment when an athlete visualizes crossing the finish line or making the winning shot. That mental rehearsal primes them for action. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to emotionally connect with their future self, living in that state of freedom, which fuels their discipline in runway building and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is to bring your abstract desires into a concrete visual representation. Take a moment to feel the true impact of seeing your freedom not as a wish, but as a definite destination. Your micro action for this section is to find one image, a photograph, a piece of art, a scene that perfectly represents your financial freedom, and save it somewhere you'll see it daily. This visual anchor transforms your aspiration into an attainable blueprint. See your freedom. Build your freedom. Chapter 3. The Income Stacking System Revealed. I once worked with a senior marketing manager, Sarah, who'd spent 15 years diligently climbing the ladder at a reputable tech firm. She had the corner office, the impressive title, and a salary that supported her comfortable suburban life. She felt secure, almost invincible. Then, one Tuesday morning, she was called into a meeting. The market had shifted, the department was being restructured, and her role was eliminated. Just like that, her entire financial foundation, built on a single vulnerable paycheck, evaporated. The shock was profound, not just of losing the job, but the sudden realization of how utterly dependent she had been. Her well-being, her home, her family's stability, all hinged on that one income stream, and it was gone. The immediate scramble for a new role, the budget stress, the fear of the unknown, it was a harsh awakening to the fragility of a singular income. Take a moment to notice where the idea of relying on a single source of income might already create a subtle pressure in your own life. This scenario powerfully illustrates a fundamental truth. Relying on a single, vulnerable paycheck is a high-stakes gamble in today's economy. The core principle for true financial resilience is to cultivate multiple income sources. This status quo, a singular income stream, leaves you exposed to everything from corporate restructuring to a demanding boss dynamics, limiting your career strategy and exit planning options. The first thing to grasp is that resilience isn't about working harder at one job. It's about diversifying your income streams, creating a financial safety net that allows for greater leverage. Many professionals discover that even a small, secondary income source can significantly reduce budget stress and build a crucial runway for job escape. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that income stacking is simply leveraging your market skills in new ways. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to generating revenue from various avenues, even small ones. One shift that accelerates progress is to begin with micro-income experiments. Your micro-action: brainstorm one small way you could genuinely earn an extra $50 this week. This proactive approach transforms vulnerability into opportunity. Diversify your income, fortify your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. The concept of passive income often conjures images of money magically appearing without effort, a dream many chase without understanding its true nature. This status quo, believing passive income is magic, is a significant barrier to building real wealth. The core truth is that genuine passive income, the kind that truly supports financial freedom and job escape, requires substantial initial setup and consistent, strategic effort up front. The first thing to grasp is that passive doesn't mean no work. It means leverage. Many professionals discover that the most successful passive income streams, whether it's well-chosen dividend stocks or a meticulously crafted digital product, demand significant research, capital investment, or time spent in skill stacking to create. Consider a time when you set up an automated system at work. It took focused effort to build, but once operational, it ran efficiently with minimal oversight. Another factor that changes everything is differentiating between active side hustles and truly passive income. Think of the moment when a side gig initially felt like freedom, but quickly became a second demanding job, causing more budget stress than it relieved. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that passive income is a long-term career strategy, an integral part of exit planning, not a quick fix. One shift that accelerates progress is to approach passive income as an investment of time, money, or intellectual property. Your micro-action for this section: research one truly passive income stream, like real estate investment trusts or dividend-paying stocks, to understand its mechanics and initial requirements. Take a moment to shift your perception of passive from immediate reward to strategic long-term gain. This realistic perspective transforms a wish into an executable financial blueprint. Strategic effort, passive reward. Moving from theory into practice, let's confront a pervasive internal barrier that keeps many brilliant minds locked in their current roles: the fear of failure. This status quo, where the apprehension of a grand public misstep prevents any action at all, is a significant inhibitor to financial freedom. The core principle, however, is that you can and should begin launching small ventures without the drastic step of quitting your job, allowing you to test, learn, and build momentum with minimal risk. The first thing to grasp is that true career strategy often involves calculated experimentation, not a single, all-or-nothing leap. Many professionals discover that the most effective way to build a financial runway and explore income growth is through low-stakes micro-ventures. Consider a time when you learned a new hobby. You didn't quit your job to become a master overnight, but practiced consistently until your skills improved. This approach allows you to acquire new market skills, gain client acquisition experience, and validate demand without jeopardizing your current income. Another factor that changes everything is that starting small effectively neutralizes the paralysis of fear. Think of the moment when a colleague, after hours, began offering a simple specialized service, like graphic design tweaks or resume reviews, for a modest fee. This wasn't about instant riches, but about testing the waters, building confidence, and gathering testimonials. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to iterate in the real world, to get feedback, and to build a reputation incrementally. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the power of earning your very first dollar outside your main employment, regardless of the amount. Take a moment to recognize that the biggest risk is often inaction itself, not small-scale experimentation. Your micro-action for this section: identify one service you could genuinely offer online right now for $20. This intentional first step is your true initiation into income stacking. Small starts lead to powerful momentum. Now here's where the real shift begins. Most professionals spend years accumulating valuable knowledge, experience, and specialized skills within their careers. Yet a common status quo is giving away these valuable insights for free, often as informal advice or unpaid favors. This habit severely limits income growth and delays financial freedom. The core principle for accelerating your runway is to consciously package your existing knowledge and expertise into monetizable products or services. The first thing to grasp is that your accumulated wisdom is a form of intellectual capital, and it holds market value. Many professionals discover that the very solutions they provide daily within their job, whether it's strategic planning, technical troubleshooting, or effective communication, are exactly what external clients struggle with. Consider a time when you helped a friend or colleague solve a problem that was second nature to you, but a significant hurdle for them. That moment revealed a monetizable skill. This directly connects to your career strategy, transforming your internal expertise into external earning power. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that packaging your knowledge reduces client acquisition friction by clearly defining the value you offer. Think of the moment when a consultant presented a structured solution instead of just general advice. The perceived value was immediately higher. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to structure their expertise into repeatable, sellable formats, such as a short course, a template, or a defined service package. One shift that accelerates progress is to begin seeing yourself not just as an employee, but as an expert with valuable intellectual property. Take a moment to identify one specific area where your knowledge provides unique value to others. Your micro-action for this section: outline a mini-course idea based on a specific piece of your expertise that you could teach to someone else in an hour. Your insights are currency. Package your knowledge, multiply your income. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. The fundamental limitation of traditional employment, and even many side hustles, is that they require you to perpetually trade your time for money. This status quo, the endless exchange of hours for income, will indefinitely cap your financial freedom. The core principle for true job escape and exponential income growth is to consciously shift towards building assets that generate ongoing, leveraged income, freeing your time. The first thing to grasp is that an asset works for you even when you're not actively working. Many professionals discover that even with a high salary, the constant need to be on prevents true freedom. Consider a time when a small investment of effort or capital yielded a recurring benefit without your direct daily involvement. This is the essence of building a runway. It's creating income sources that don't demand a one-to-one time exchange. This strategy directly impacts your career trajectory, allowing for flexible exit planning. Another factor that changes everything is that digital products, automated systems, and smart investments are not just for the tech-savvy or the wealthy. Think of the moment when you realized a simple online guide or a well-structured template could solve a problem for hundreds, even thousands of people simultaneously, generating income with each sale. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their focus on creating leveraged assets using their existing market skills. One shift that accelerates progress is to begin thinking about how you can productize your knowledge or automate your service delivery. Take a moment to consider how you could transform your current time-for-money model into a scalable, asset-based system. Your micro-action for this section: research how to create a simple digital product, such as an ebook, a checklist, or a template that could generate recurring revenue. Build assets. Buy your freedom. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Many individuals seeking financial freedom fixate on acquiring complex new skills or launching elaborate ventures, believing significant income growth must come from something entirely novel. This status quo, overlooking your current assets and existing networks, is a critical blind spot. The core principle for accelerating your financial runway is to consciously utilize what you already possess, your physical belongings, your existing skills, and even your connections, to immediately generate income. The first thing to grasp is that your immediate environment is often brimming with overlooked value. Many professionals discover that items gathering dust in their garage or a spare room sitting empty represent dormant capital. Consider a time when you decluttered and realized how much unused value you had. Monetizing these existing assets can provide crucial initial capital for skill stacking or even simply reduce budget stress, freeing up current income for investment or job escape planning. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing your network as a resource for referral income or finding clients for small services. Think of the moment when a friend needed help with something you were good at and you offered it for free. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to see these interactions as potential, low-friction income opportunities, transforming casual favors into genuine client acquisition. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify these immediate, tangible resources. Take a moment to consider the unused assets in your home or the skills you often give away freely. Your micro-action for this section lists 3 items you could sell immediately for cash, even if it's just a few dollars. Immediate value is often closer than you think. Leverage what you have. Build your momentum. Chapter 4: The Debt Annihilation Protocol. I recall a talented architect, David, who desperately wanted to launch his own design studio. He had the vision, the client contacts, and the unique market skills. But every time he sketched out his exit plan, the numbers wouldn't add up. His credit card balances, a lingering student loan, and a car payment, while manageable individually, combined to create a suffocating monthly obligation. He couldn't afford to take the leap, couldn't even build a significant financial runway, because a substantial portion of his paycheck was already committed to yesterday's expenses. He felt trapped, not by his boss, but by his own past financial decisions, watching his dream of freedom recede with each minimum payment. His accumulated debt wasn't just eroding his wealth, it was eroding his future. Take a moment to consider how your current financial obligations might be dictating your professional choices, even unconsciously. This scenario powerfully illustrates a fundamental truth. Letting debt accumulate, eroding wealth, is a silent saboteur of your financial future. The core principle for true job escape and income growth is to systematically eliminate debt to unlock cash flow. The first thing to grasp is that debt doesn't just carry an interest rate, it carries a freedom tax, limiting your career strategy and your ability to build a robust runway. Many professionals discover that high monthly payments force them into salary ceilings, preventing them from taking calculated risks on more lucrative but initially uncertain ventures. Another factor that changes everything is the mental and emotional burden of debt. Think of the moment when budget stress over bills consumed your focus, detracting from skill stacking or effective client acquisition. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate strategy to free up cash flow from debt, which then fuels investments, education, or income-generating assets, providing crucial leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is gaining absolute clarity on your debt landscape. Your micro action for this section is to list all your debts, noting each interest rate and minimum payment. This visibility is your first step towards liberation. Eliminate your burdens, expand your options. With that foundation in place, let's challenge a widely accepted, yet often misleading, financial belief. The status quo suggests that some debt is always beneficial, labeling certain loans as good investments that will automatically pay off. This conventional wisdom, however, can be a subtle trap, especially when pursuing job escape and genuine financial freedom. The core truth is that while a select few debts can be leveraged, most debt, even those perceived as good or necessary, ultimately hinders your freedom and delays your escape. The first thing to grasp is that every dollar committed to debt repayment is a dollar that cannot be invested in your runway, your skill stacking, or your income-generating assets. Many professionals discover that even low-interest student loans or a seemingly affordable car payment create a continuous drain on their cash flow, preventing leverage and flexibility in their career strategy. Consider a time when a monthly payment, even a small one, consistently felt like a restrictive chain on your spending or saving potential. Another factor that changes everything is that the mental burden of any debt, regardless of its good label, can subtly influence your decisions. Think of the moment when the pressure of a mortgage payment prevented you from taking a calculated risk on a new venture that could have exponentially increased your income. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless evaluation of all debt, understanding that true freedom prioritizes maximal cash flow and minimal obligations. One shift that accelerates progress is to question the conventional narrative around good debt. Take a moment to identify any debt you currently hold that you've always justified as good and consider its true cost to your freedom. Your micro action for this section: identify one good debt in your portfolio that might be costing you more in opportunity and peace of mind than you realize. Scrutinize all debt. Liberate your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Simply acknowledging your debt is only the first step. The next critical hurdle is moving beyond the passive approach of making minimum payments indefinitely. This status quo ensures you remain tethered to your obligations for far longer than necessary, delaying your financial freedom and job escape. The core principle for accelerating your liberation is choosing and rigorously implementing the optimal strategy for rapid debt repayment. The first thing to grasp is that every extra dollar paid towards principal is an immediate, guaranteed return on your money, often far exceeding what you could earn through investments, especially with high-interest debts. Many professionals discover that the compounding effect of debt works against them when only minimum payments are made, leading to significant budget stress over time. Consider a time when you paid off a small loan ahead of schedule. The sense of accomplishment and the immediate cash flow freed up was powerful. This approach directly impacts your runway building, providing more capital for income growth or skill stacking. Another factor that changes everything is understanding the psychological and mathematical advantages of different repayment strategies. Think of the moment when you strategically prioritize tasks in a complex project, understanding that tackling one key bottleneck first would accelerate overall completion. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate application of methods like the debt snowball or avalanche, choosing the one that best fits their mindset and financial situation to gain leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is to view debt repayment as an active, strategic game. Take a moment to consider how a focused, aggressive approach to debt could rapidly transform your financial landscape. Your micro action for this section: based on your debt list, calculate which repayment method, the debt snowball or debt avalanche, would save you more interest and free up cash flow faster. Strategy fuels your escape. With that foundation in place, let's address one of the most insidious threats to lasting financial freedom: unexpected setbacks. The status quo, living paycheck to paycheck and constantly vulnerable to surprises, ensures that even small emergencies can derail your progress, forcing you back into the very debt you're trying to annihilate. The core principle for unwavering job escape is to proactively build a robust safety net to prevent new debt from ever taking root. The first thing to grasp is that an emergency fund isn't merely about having cash. It's about buying peace of mind and cultivating resilience. Many professionals discover that the constant underlying budget stress from fearing an unexpected car repair or a sudden medical bill significantly hinders their ability to focus on income growth, skill stacking, or taking calculated career risks. Consider a time when a surprise expense completely upended your financial plans and forced a difficult choice. An emergency fund prevents that cycle. Another factor that changes everything is how this safety net fundamentally alters your career strategy and exit planning. With a solid buffer, you're no longer held hostage by demanding boss dynamics or forced to accept unfavorable job offers out of desperation. Think of the moment when having a financial cushion gave you the confidence to negotiate better terms or walk away from a toxic situation. This provides genuine leverage. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to insulating themselves from financial shocks, ensuring their runway building isn't constantly interrupted. One shift that accelerates progress is establishing this fund before you're in crisis. Take a moment to imagine the calm and confidence a growing emergency fund would bring to your daily financial outlook. Your micro action for this section: transfer $25 into a dedicated emergency fund account today. Build your buffer, protect your freedom. Moving from theory into practice, let's address a quiet but persistent drain on your financial potential. The common status quo is that unconscious spending habits slowly bleed your finances dry, often unnoticed. The core principle, however, is that you must ruthlessly cut unnecessary spending to proactively free up cash, transforming it into fuel for your financial freedom. The first thing to grasp is that every dollar saved from non-essential spending is a dollar immediately available to invest in your runway, your skill stacking, or your income-generating assets. Many professionals discover that seemingly small, unconscious daily purchases, like multiple coffees, forgotten subscriptions, or impulse buys, add up to hundreds each month, creating unnecessary budget stress. Consider a time when you reviewed your credit card statement and were surprised by the cumulative cost of minor indulgences. That money could have funded a crucial career strategy pivot or reduced a high-interest debt. Another factor that changes everything is that this isn't about deprivation, it's about intentional allocation. Think of the moment when redirecting funds from a frivolous expense allowed you to enroll in a course that boosted your market skills or make an extra payment on a loan, giving you greater leverage. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in identifying these silent leaks and consciously redirecting that capital towards their highest priorities. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing a mindset of financial stewardship over automatic consumption. Your micro action for this section: review your last month's bank statement with a critical eye, specifically looking for just one recurring expense that could be reduced or eliminated without significant impact on your quality of life. Take a moment to consider the profound power of actively choosing where every dollar goes, aligning it with your deepest ambitions. This deliberate pruning of expenses creates immediate, tangible resources for your escape. Intentional spending builds freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A pervasive, yet often unexamined, status quo is passively accepting the terms of your debt without ever challenging them. Many individuals simply make their minimum payments, believing interest rates and principal amounts are non-negotiable. This mindset keeps you tethered to obligations for far longer than necessary, hindering your financial freedom and accelerating budget stress. The core principle for rapid debt annihilation is to proactively learn how to lower both your interest rates and, in some cases, even your principal. The first thing to grasp is that negotiation is a market skill that applies as much to your personal finances as it does to client acquisition. Many professionals discover that creditors, particularly for credit cards or personal loans, have discretion to modify terms, especially if you have a decent payment history or can demonstrate hardship. Consider a time when you successfully negotiated a better deal for a service or product. This same assertiveness can be applied to your debts, creating immediate leverage. This directly impacts your runway building, freeing up cash flow for income growth or skill stacking. Another factor that changes everything is understanding the power of a well-articulated case. Think of the moment when clear communication and a firm stance allowed you to achieve a better outcome in a negotiation, perhaps with a boss or a vendor. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to advocate for themselves financially, understanding that every percentage point shaved off an interest rate saves them significant money over time. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing an active rather than passive stance towards your debt. Take a moment to consider the tangible financial impact of even a small reduction in your interest payments each month. Your micro action for this section: draft a simple script to call one of your creditors this week, politely but firmly asking about options for a lower interest rate. Challenge your debt, claim your cash flow. Chapter 5: Automated Wealth Building. I once coached a bright engineer, Mark, who earned an excellent salary but consistently felt behind financially. Every month, he intended to move money into his investment account to build his escape fund. But life, as it often does, intervened. A busy project at work, a sick child, and non-negotiable home repair. Suddenly, the end of the month would arrive, and that intentional transfer hadn't happened. His grand plans for early retirement and launching his own consultancy remained just that: plans, perpetually postponed by the friction of manual effort and the demands of daily living. He saw others seemingly effortlessly building wealth, while his own efforts felt like pushing a boulder uphill, only to watch it roll back down. His manual approach to wealth building was an invisible handbrake on his career strategy and job escape. Take a moment to consider how your best intentions sometimes fall victim to the demands of your daily life. This scenario powerfully illustrates why manual investing is often inconsistent and ultimately neglected, severely hindering your financial freedom. The core principle for effortless, sustained growth is to automate your savings and investments. The first thing to grasp is that overcoming human inconsistency is paramount for long-term wealth. Many professionals discover that willpower alone is an unreliable strategy when it comes to consistent savings, leading to persistent budget stress and missed income growth opportunities. Consider a time when you set a recurring bill to autopay. The relief and certainty of knowing it was handled effortlessly allowed you to focus elsewhere. Another factor that changes everything is that automation transforms your intentions into guaranteed action, allowing the power of compounding to work its magic without daily oversight. Think of the moment when your 401k contributions automatically deducted from your paycheck. That money was invested before you even missed it, building your runway without conscious effort. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate creation of systems that make wealth building non-negotiable and invisible. One shift that accelerates progress is pre-committing your funds to your future self. Your micro action for this section: immediately set up an automatic transfer of $50 from your checking account to a dedicated savings or investment account scheduled for your next payday. This single step leverages your discipline once for continuous, effortless progress. Automate your wealth. Amplify your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A pervasive misconception, fueled by financial media and speculative trends, is the belief that you can consistently predict market fluctuations and profit from active trading. This status quo often leads to impulsive decisions, unnecessary risk, and ultimately, eroded wealth. The core principle for robust, long-term wealth building and job escape is that consistent, Disciplined investing in broad market assets consistently outperforms the vast majority of active trading efforts. The first thing to grasp is that time in the market, not timing the market, is the true engine of compounding returns. Many professionals discover that trying to outsmart the market becomes a source of significant budget stress and distraction from their core career strategy and skill stacking. Consider a time when you saw someone try to time an investment only to buy high and sell low, missing out on steady gains. This speculative approach rarely contributes to a reliable financial runway. Another factor that changes everything is the power of diversification and low-cost index funds. Think of the moment when you understood that owning a tiny piece of hundreds or even thousands of the world's greatest companies provided inherent resilience against the failure of any single one. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their focus on capturing the overall growth of the economy rather than chasing individual stock picks or market fads. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing simplicity and consistency over complexity and speculation. Take a moment to reflect on any past attempts to time the market and the emotional or financial cost involved. Your micro-action for this section: research the historical returns of broad market index funds, specifically comparing them to actively managed funds over multiple decades. Invest wisely, grow relentlessly. This insight naturally leads us forward. Many aspiring investors get lost in the overwhelming complexity of individual stock picking, endlessly researching company reports and trying to predict market winners. This status quo, getting lost in complex stock picking, is not only time-consuming but statistically less effective for most people, hindering genuine wealth building and increasing budget stress. The core principle for stable, reliable growth in your automated wealth building is to utilize low-cost, diversified funds. The first thing to grasp is that true diversification mitigates risk and ensures you capture the overall growth of the economy. Many professionals discover that trying to beat the market with individual stocks often leads to inconsistent returns, anxiety, and a drain on mental energy, better spent on skill stacking or client acquisition. Consider a time when you put all your eggs in one basket, only to experience unnecessary worry or disappointment. This approach is detrimental to building a reliable financial runway. Another factor that changes everything is the incredible efficiency and proven track record of broad market index funds. Think of the moment when you realized you could own a piece of thousands of companies, effectively betting on human innovation and progress, with just one simple investment. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that simplicity and broad exposure often lead to superior long-term results with minimal ongoing effort. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing a foundational investment strategy that doesn't demand constant attention, freeing you to focus on income growth. Take a moment to imagine the clarity and confidence of an investment strategy that requires minimal management yet still compounds reliably. Your micro-action for this section: open a brokerage account today and explore how to invest in a broad market index fund, such as an S&P 500 ETF. Simplify your investments, multiply your returns. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Many investors, particularly those new to wealth building, exclusively focus on capital appreciation, the idea of a stock's price simply going up. This status quo, only focusing on capital appreciation and missing a vital income component, means you're overlooking a powerful engine for sustained financial freedom. The core principle for building a resilient financial runway is to intentionally invest in companies or funds that pay regular, consistent dividends. The first thing to grasp is that dividends provide a tangible, recurring income stream, much like a mini paycheck from your investments. Many professionals discover that while market growth is important, the stability of regular cash flow can significantly reduce budget stress and provide direct leverage for job escape planning or funding skill stacking. Consider a time when a small, unexpected bonus gave you breathing room. Dividends aim to provide that feeling consistently from your assets. Another factor that changes everything is the power of reinvestment. Think of the moment when you understood how compounding works. Reinvesting those dividends buys more shares, which then generate even more dividends, accelerating your wealth building exponentially. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic inclusion of income-generating assets, creating a diversified approach to growth. One shift that accelerates progress is viewing your investments not just as a portfolio, but as a growing army of mini businesses sending you regular payments. Take a moment to consider how consistent income, even small amounts, could shift your sense of financial security. Your micro action for this section: identify one dividend-paying stock or ETF to research further this week, understanding its yield and payment history. Build income, build freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. One of the most common oversights in personal finance, particularly for those aiming for rapid financial freedom, is the failure to fully leverage existing tax advantages. The status quo is missing out on powerful tax benefits, often due to unfamiliarity with retirement accounts or the belief they're only for traditional retirement. The core principle for accelerating your wealth building is to strategically utilize retirement accounts for tax-free compounding, regardless of your immediate job escape plans. The first thing to grasp is that a Roth IRA, for instance, offers tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement, and crucially, allows you to withdraw your contributions penalty-free at any time. Many professionals discover that neglecting these accounts means leaving free money on the table, slowing their runway building and long-term income growth. Consider a time when you received a tax refund. Imagine those savings multiplied over decades, completely tax-free. Another factor that changes everything is that these accounts offer incredible flexibility that can even support early job escape. Think of the moment when you realized that the tax benefits provided a substantial boost to your investment returns, far beyond what a taxable brokerage account could achieve without requiring any complex market skills. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate strategy to maximize these tax-advantaged vehicles, giving them immense leverage over time. One shift that accelerates progress is to view retirement accounts as essential components of your broader financial freedom strategy, not just a distant future plan. Take a moment to consider how tax-free growth could dramatically reduce the timeline for your financial independence. Your micro action for this section: learn specifically about Roth IRAs, their contribution limits, and how they can be strategically used before traditional retirement age. Maximize your tax advantages, accelerate your freedom. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Many individuals seeking financial freedom hold a common, limiting belief: that real estate investing is an exclusive domain reserved only for the wealthy or those with extensive capital and specialized knowledge. This status quo, believing real estate is only for wealthy investors, prevents countless professionals from tapping into one of the most powerful avenues for automated wealth building. The core principle for expanding your income streams and securing your job escape is to consciously explore accessible avenues like real estate investment trusts, or REITs, and even fractional rental property ownership. The first thing to grasp is that you don't need to purchase an entire building or become a landlord to benefit from real estate. Many professionals discover that the stability and income potential of real estate can significantly fortify their financial runway, far beyond what traditional stock market investments alone might provide. Consider a time when you saw property values steadily increase in your area. This growth, combined with rental income, is now accessible without the traditional headaches. Another factor that changes everything is that REITs allow you to own a diversified portfolio of income-generating properties, like apartments, warehouses, or cell towers, with the ease of buying a stock. Think of the moment when you realized that professionally managed real estate assets could deliver regular dividends directly to your investment account, freeing your time from active client acquisition or demanding boss dynamics. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic inclusion of passive real estate income, providing crucial leverage and diversifying their income growth. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing real estate as an accessible, hands-off income generator. Take a moment to consider how diversifying your investments into tangible income-producing assets could enhance your long-term stability and freedom. Your micro action for this section: research how to invest in a real estate investment trust, noting how they operate and their typical dividend payouts. Democratize real estate, diversify your wealth. Chapter 6: Time hacking for freedom seekers. I recall a client, Sarah, a marketing director who felt perpetually trapped. She yearned for the financial freedom to start her own consulting firm, a dream that felt increasingly distant. Each morning, she'd promise herself she'd dedicate an hour to building her business, researching clients, or refining her skill stacking. But by the end of her demanding workday, she was mentally exhausted. Emails, meetings, and unexpected urgent tasks at her job consumed her daylight hours. Then, evenings dissolved into family obligations, a quick meal, and the seductive pull of digital distractions. She wasn't lazy, she was overwhelmed. Her ambition was fierce, but her time seemed to slip through her fingers like sand, leaving her frustrated and no closer to her escape from the 9 to 5. She knew what to do, but couldn't find the when. Take a moment to consider where your own most valuable hours might be unconsciously slipping away each day. This scenario powerfully illustrates the status quo: feeling overwhelmed, with time slipping away, directly hindering your progress towards financial freedom. The core principle for liberating your hours is strategic time management. The first thing to grasp is that time isn't merely spent, it's an investment. And like any investment, it can yield returns or simply vanish. Many professionals discover that without intentional allocation, their most valuable resource is squandered on low-leverage activities, creating constant budget stress and delaying income growth. Another factor that changes everything is recognizing that freedom isn't found by adding more to an already packed schedule, but by deliberately carving out and protecting time for high-impact tasks. Think of the moment when a focused block of time allowed you to make significant progress on a complex project, rather than being constantly interrupted. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless prioritization of tasks that directly contribute to their financial runway or skill stacking, even if it means saying no to other demands. One shift that accelerates progress is treating your time with the same reverence you treat your money. Your micro action for this section: for just 1 hour today, meticulously track exactly how you spend your time without judgment. Observe and reclaim your most precious resource. Manage your time, own your future. Moving from theory into practice, let's address a subtle but powerful inhibitor of progress for many freedom seekers. The common status quo is glorifying being constantly busy, equating relentless activity with true productivity. This deeply ingrained habit, however, often leads to burnout, hinders focused effort, and ultimately delays your path to financial freedom. The core principle, therefore, is to understand that true productivity is about impact, not merely activity. The first thing to grasp is that simply accumulating hours of work does not equate to progress, especially when those hours are spent on low-leverage activities. Many professionals discover that being perpetually busy with routine tasks, non-essential meetings, or endless emails at their current job actually prevents them from engaging in high-impact work that truly moves their career strategy forward, builds valuable market skills, or strengthens their income-generating assets. This constant hum of activity can feel productive, but it actively delays your job escape runway. Another factor that changes everything is intentionally differentiating between motion and meaningful action. Think of the moment when you spent an entire afternoon responding to non-urgent messages, only to realize your most critical project, the one that could lead to a significant income growth opportunity or a crucial client acquisition, sat untouched. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ruthless focus on identifying and executing tasks that generate the highest return on their time investment, providing genuine leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously asking, what is the single most impactful thing I can do right now to advance my freedom? Take a moment to consider where sheer activity might be masquerading as genuine productivity in your own week. Your micro action for this section: identify just one task you can either eliminate entirely or delegate to someone else this week. Focus on impact, not just effort. This insight naturally leads us forward. In our hyper-connected world, the default status quo for many is constant interruptions, fragmenting their attention and preventing deep, meaningful work. This pervasive environment makes true productivity incredibly difficult and actively delays your progress toward job escape. The core principle for accelerating your freedom is to ruthlessly focus on high-value tasks and systematically minimize distractions. The first thing to grasp is that fragmented attention is highly inefficient, costing you more time and mental energy than you realize. Many professionals discover that constantly switching between tasks, emails, and notifications drastically reduces their ability to build complex market skills, develop effective client acquisition strategies, or make significant progress on their income growth projects. Consider a time when a crucial task required your full concentration, but endless pings and interruptions prevented you from entering a state of flow, costing you hours and leading to frustration. This directly impacts your runway building. Another factor that changes everything is intentionally creating zones of uninterrupted work. Think of the moment when a quiet period, free from external demands, allowed you to achieve more in 30 minutes than you might in an entire afternoon of fragmented effort. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate architectural approach to their day, proactively safeguarding blocks of time for their most important work. One shift that accelerates progress is recognizing that your most valuable output often comes from uninterrupted, focused effort. Take a moment to identify the primary distractions that regularly pull your attention away from your most important work. Your micro-action for this section: immediately block out a 30-minute period in your calendar for tomorrow for uninterrupted, focused work on a high-value task that moves you closer to your freedom. Protect your focus, multiply your impact. Now here's where the real shift begins in reclaiming your time. The pervasive status quo for many is constantly switching between dissimilar tasks, which fragments attention and causes a significant loss of momentum. Every time you transition from a complex analytical project to a quick email response, then to a brainstorming session, your brain incurs a switching cost, reducing efficiency and causing unnecessary mental fatigue. The core principle for boosting your time-hacking effectiveness is to deliberately group similar tasks to increase efficiency. The first thing to grasp is that your brain works best when it's focused on one type of activity. Many professionals discover that constantly context switching not only slows them down, but also leads to more errors and a feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed, hindering their ability to build crucial market skills or execute complex career strategy decisions. Consider a time when you had to tackle several unrelated tasks in a short period. The mental exhaustion that followed was a direct result of this inefficiency. This impacts your income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that batching tasks allows you to achieve a state of flow where work becomes almost effortless. Think of the moment when you sat down to process all your invoices at once, or handled all your administrative duties in a single block, and found you completed them far faster than if you had tackled them piecemeal throughout the day. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their deliberate design of their workday, minimizing mental friction. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively identify categories of tasks that can be grouped together. Take a moment to identify areas in your current workflow where constant switching costs you valuable time and energy. Your micro-action for this section: commit to batching all your email responses or a similar communication task to a specific limited time block each day for the rest of this week. Batch your work, amplify your output. This insight naturally leads us forward. A common trap for even the most ambitious freedom seekers is spending valuable time and energy on tasks that could easily be handled by a machine or a well-designed system. The status quo is manually doing what a machine could do better, leading to wasted hours and slower progress towards job escape. The core principle for exponential time hacking is to proactively use tools and systems to automate repetitive, low-leverage tasks. The first thing to grasp is that your time is your most valuable, non-renewable asset. Many professionals discover that the cumulative hours spent on manual data entry, scheduling, billing, or routine communications significantly detract from their ability to develop crucial market skills, pursue high-value client acquisition, or build their financial runway. Consider a time when you found yourself repeating the same steps for a task over and over again. That repetition is a prime candidate for automation, directly impacting your income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that automation isn't just for tech gurus. It's a strategic mindset accessible to everyone. Think of the moment when setting up an automatic bill payment freed your mental energy, or a simple email template saved you minutes on every reply. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their relentless pursuit of efficiency, understanding that every minute saved is a minute gained for higher impact work or personal freedom. One shift that accelerates progress is to constantly ask, can a system do this for me? Take a moment to identify one recurring task in your week that feels tedious and repeatable. Your micro action for this section: pinpoint one recurring task you currently do manually and research a tool or system that could automate or significantly streamline it. Automate the mundane, amplify the exceptional. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. A common, deeply ingrained belief for many freedom seekers is the notion that you must do everything yourself. This status quo, believing you're solely responsible for every task, from projects or errands, becomes a self-imposed ceiling on your time, energy, and ultimately, your financial freedom. The core principle for accelerating your job escape is to consciously empower others to handle tasks you shouldn't be doing. The first thing to grasp is that your time has an actual dollar value, and spending it on low-value tasks is a direct opportunity cost. Many professionals discover that holding on to administrative duties, household chores, or even basic research prevents them from engaging in higher leverage activities like skill stacking, client acquisition, or refining their income growth strategies. Consider a time when you spent hours on a task someone else could have completed that directly impacts your runway building. Another factor that changes everything is that true leadership of your own life involves intelligent delegation. Think of the moment when a manager entrusted you with a responsibility, freeing them to focus on strategic direction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to invest in freeing up their own capacity by hiring virtual assistants, using freelance services, or asking for help. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the philosophy that your unique contribution should be reserved for your highest impact work. Take a moment to identify tasks you regularly do that do not require your specific expertise. Your micro action for this section lists 3 tasks you could delegate this week, even if hypothetically, envisioning what you would gain by entrusting them to someone else. Delegate strategically. Scale your freedom. Chapter 7. The Skill Monetization Matrix. I worked with a client, David, a seasoned project manager in a large tech firm. He was excellent at his job, orchestrating complex initiatives, managing diverse teams, and consistently bringing projects in on time and under budget. Yet he felt stagnant, trapped beneath a salary ceiling, experiencing the familiar grind and burnout. When we first discussed his path to job escape, he insisted he had no special skills outside his corporate role. He believed he needed to go back to school or spend years learning something completely new to generate income independently. He overlooked his innate ability to simplify complex processes, his gift for motivating people, and his meticulous organizational prowess, skills he used daily, without a second thought, but never considered valuable to anyone outside his current employer. This oversight was his biggest bottleneck, delaying his freedom. This scenario powerfully illustrates the status quo. Many professionals are overlooking existing talents and experiences, believing their skills are either too common or not monetizable outside a traditional job. The core principle for accelerating your financial freedom is to identify and acknowledge the valuable skills you already possess that others are willing to pay for. The first thing to grasp is that true market value isn't always tied to formal certifications. It's about solving problems for others. Many professionals discover that the very abilities they take for granted, problem solving, clear communication, organization, empathy, are in high demand, providing leverage for negotiation or client acquisition. Consider a time when you effortlessly helped a friend or colleague with something they found difficult that points to a monetizable skill. This directly impacts your income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that recognizing these innate abilities allows you to build a practical career strategy for independence, rather than feeling you have to start from scratch. Think of the moment when you realize that your ability to simplify complex information, honed through years of internal presentations, could be the basis for a successful coaching or content creation business. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their keen ability to translate their existing competencies into solutions for a broader market. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial one, seeing your capabilities as assets. Take a moment to consider any skills you use daily that seem easy to you but others struggle with. Your micro action for this section: list 5 distinct skills you've used successfully in any context: work, hobbies, volunteering, or even just helping friends. Your existing talents are your most immediate path to new income. Monetize your genius, unlock your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A deeply ingrained status quo for many aspiring freedom seekers is the persistent belief that they lack unique value or monetizable skills to offer the market. This self-limiting perspective causes individuals to overlook a wealth of untapped potential, trapping them beneath salary ceilings and delaying their job escape plans. The core principle, however, is that everyone possesses monetizable abilities, often profoundly undervalued by the individual themselves. The first thing to grasp is that what comes effortlessly to you often holds immense value for someone else. Many professionals discover that their common sense or innate talents, like being an exceptional organizer, a natural connector, or a patient problem solver, are precisely the market skills others struggle with or are willing to pay for. Consider a time when you easily helped a colleague untangle a complex issue, only for them to express genuine admiration. That moment reveals a skill others value. This often translates directly into powerful client acquisition opportunities. Another factor that changes everything is the power of external perspective. Think of the moment when a friend or mentor pointed out a strength in you that you had completely discounted, simply because it felt easy or obvious. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to objectively assess their unique contributions, not just what they've been trained to do. One shift that accelerates progress is moving beyond your own internal narrative and seeking validation for your inherent strengths, which can unlock significant income growth pathways. Your skills are not just what you've learned, they're who you are when you're at your best. Take a moment to honestly challenge your own assumptions about your unique contributions and market value. Your micro action for this section: this week, ask a trusted friend, family member, or colleague what they genuinely believe your strongest skill or unique talent is. Discover your value, define your market, moving from theory into practice. A common pitfall for individuals seeking career strategy shifts or income growth is the status quo of learning skills without first considering genuine market need. This approach often leads to acquiring interesting but ultimately unmonetizable abilities that don't contribute to your financial freedom or job escape. The core principle for effective skill stacking is to deliberately learn skills that directly solve significant market problems. The first thing to grasp is that true value creation happens at the intersection of your capabilities and market demand. Many professionals discover that simply pursuing passions without a market lens can lead to burnout and budget stress, as their efforts don't translate into tangible income. Consider a time when you invested heavily in learning something, only to realize there was no clear pathway to monetize it. That experience highlights the importance of market alignment. This directly impacts your runway building. Another factor that changes everything is shifting your focus from "what do I want to learn" to "what problem can I solve for others that they will pay for." Think of the moment when you successfully addressed a client's urgent need with a specific skill and immediately saw its worth. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their entrepreneurial mindset, constantly observing market friction points and proactively acquiring the market skills necessary to alleviate them. One shift that accelerates progress is to research problems before you research solutions. ensuring your skill development is purpose-driven. Take a moment to reflect on any skills you've acquired that currently lack a clear monetization path. Your micro-action for this section: research 3 in-demand skills in a niche you're interested in, paying close attention to the specific problems those skills solve for businesses or individuals. Learn with purpose. Earn with impact. This insight naturally leads us forward. A significant barrier for many talented individuals seeking income growth or job escape is the status quo of not knowing how to translate their valuable skills into income. They possess expertise but struggle to package it in a way that the market understands and is willing to pay for. The core principle for accelerating your financial independence, therefore, is to deliberately transform your raw skills into marketable services or products. The first thing to grasp is that clients don't buy your skill directly. They buy the solution or outcome your skill provides. Many professionals discover that possessing deep market skills is only half the equation. The other half is articulating how those skills solve a specific problem, allowing for effective client acquisition and leverage. Consider a time when you needed a solution, not just a tool. You wanted your leaky faucet fixed, not just a plumber with wrenches. This mindset shift is crucial for career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that your unique combination of talents can be bundled into a clear, valuable offering. Think of the moment when a colleague successfully pitched a complex project by framing it around a tangible benefit for the boss, rather than just listing tasks. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to define who they help, with what specific problem, and what tangible result they deliver. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from a generalist mindset to a specialist, solving a pointed problem for a specific audience. Take a moment to consider how packaging your existing talents could open new income streams you haven't yet explored. Your micro-action for this section: choose one of your strong skills and outline a simple offering based on it. Who would you help? What problem would you solve? What would the outcome be? Package your value, unlock your earnings. Moving from theory into practice. A common pitfall for aspiring freedom seekers is the status quo of feeling utterly overwhelmed by the prospect of launching a full-fledged business. The sheer scale of what appears necessary, business plans, websites, marketing, can paralyze action, keeping you trapped in your current role. The core principle for accelerating your income growth and job escape is to start small, test market demand quickly, and iterate. The first thing to grasp is that you don't need a grand, fully formed business to begin monetizing your skills. Many professionals discover that the most effective career strategy involves taking tiny, implementable steps to validate their offerings. Consider a time when you over-prepared for a presentation, only to find you wasted effort on details that didn't matter to the audience. The same applies to launching services. This impacts your runway building and creates budget stress. Another factor that changes everything is that real-world feedback from paying clients is far more valuable than endless planning. Think of the moment when a simple, well-executed microservice not only generated income, but also provided invaluable insight into what your market truly values. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their bias toward action and their willingness to experiment with small client acquisition efforts. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the concept of the minimum viable offering, the simplest version of your service or product that delivers core value. Take a moment to consider how much easier it would be to start with a very small, focused service rather than in an entire business. Your micro-action for this section: create a simple, one-page proposal for a microservice based on one of your skills. Define the problem you solve and the tangible outcome. Start small, scale with confidence. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. In an era of rapid technological advancement and shifting market demands, a dangerous status quo for many professionals is relying on outdated knowledge. This static approach stifles income growth, makes career strategy feel like an uphill battle, and ultimately delays any real hope of job escape. The core principle for securing and expanding your financial freedom is to continuously evolve your skill set for maximum relevance. The first thing to grasp is that your market value is directly tied to your current applicability. Many professionals discover that skills which were highly sought after just a few years ago can quickly become commoditized, leaving them beneath salary ceilings. Consider a time when a new software or methodology emerged in your industry, and those who adapted quickly gained a significant competitive edge, while others struggled to keep pace. This directly impacts your runway building. Another factor that changes everything is the compounding power of consistent, incremental learning. Think of the moment when acquiring a specific new market skill suddenly opened the door to a higher paying project or a crucial client acquisition opportunity, dramatically strengthening your financial runway. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive commitment to skill stacking, layering new, in-demand abilities onto their existing foundation. One shift that accelerates progress is understanding that even a brief, dedicated period of learning each day adds up exponentially. It fortifies your leverage for negotiation and ensures your expertise remains potent. Take a moment to consider one area where your skills could benefit from even a small targeted update. Your micro action for this section: dedicate 10 minutes today to learning a new facet of your chosen skill, perhaps a new feature in a software, a market trend, or an emerging best practice. Staying perpetually relevant is your greatest defense against obsolescence and your clearest path to unlimited opportunity. Learn relentlessly. Lead continuously. Chapter 8: Negotiation for Financial Power. I recall a client, Mark, a dedicated marketing specialist, who received a highly anticipated promotion. The new title felt great, and the initial salary bump was decent. He felt grateful and quickly accepted the offer. Months later, he learned that another colleague with similar experience but a different department had negotiated a significantly higher starting salary for their new role. Mark realized he had left substantial income on the table, not due to lack of merit, but due to a reluctance to ask. That missed opportunity meant slower progress toward his financial runway goals and a longer path to escaping the salary ceiling, simply because he had accepted the first offer, following the pervasive status quo. This scenario underscores a crucial truth for freedom seekers. The core principle for genuinely increasing your financial power is to confidently negotiate for better terms and compensation in every applicable situation. The first thing to grasp is that negotiation isn't about aggression. It's about confidently articulating your value. Many professionals discover that accepting the first offer means implicitly agreeing to less than their worth, creating a cycle of budget stress and missed income growth opportunities. Another factor that changes everything is understanding the long-term compounding effect of even small negotiation wins. Think of the moment when a $5,000 difference in annual salary, compounded over a decade with investments, could mean a six-figure difference in your net worth. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their recognition that every negotiation, whether for a job, a project, or even a service, is an opportunity to build leverage and accelerate their career strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the mindset that the market often expects you to negotiate. Take a moment to consider where a confident negotiation could have significantly impacted your financial trajectory in the past. Your micro action for this section: today, practice negotiating a small purchase or a minor service simply to build the muscle of asking for better terms. Ask with confidence, earn with power. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A pervasive status quo for many professionals is actively avoiding negotiation, often out of a desire to appear nice, easy to work with, or to sidestep perceived conflict. This deeply ingrained habit, however, is a significant negotiation mistake that leaves substantial financial power on the table, slows income growth, and ultimately delays your path to financial freedom. The core principle, therefore, is to recognize that effective negotiation is fundamentally about value exchange, not aggression. The first thing to grasp is that negotiation is a natural part of almost every professional transaction, and it's expected. Many professionals discover that their reluctance to advocate for their worth results in accepting less than they deserve, creating budget stress and undermining their career strategy. Consider a time when you accepted a job offer or a project fee without even a counteroffer, simply because you wanted to seem agreeable. That decision likely had a measurable cost. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that a respectful negotiation focused on mutual benefit strengthens relationships rather than harming them. Think of the moment when a colleague who was no more skilled than you secured a better package or project terms because they simply articulated their value and asked. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to confidently present their unique contributions and skillfully navigate conversations about compensation and terms, thereby increasing their leverage. One shift that accelerates progress is reframing negotiation not as a battle, but as a collaborative dialogue to ensure fair value exchange. Take a moment to consider where your desire to be easy might have cost you financially in the past year. Your micro action for this section: identify one recent situation where you could have, and perhaps should have, engaged in a negotiation, even a small one, to secure better terms. Champion your value, claim your worth. With that foundation in place, let's address a critical aspect of your financial journey. A common status quo for many professionals is passively accepting standard raises or initial salary offers without attempting to negotiate. This habit significantly limits income growth, keeps individuals tethered to salary ceilings, and extends the timeline for building a robust financial runway and achieving job escape. The core principle for accelerating your financial power is to master specific techniques to significantly increase your income through confident negotiation. The first thing to grasp is that information is your greatest leverage. Many professionals discover that entering a negotiation without knowing true market rates is a significant negotiation mistake, leading to immediate budget stress. Consider a time when you bought a major item without researching prices, only to find you overpaid. The same principle applies to your compensation. This lack of research actively limits your career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is that negotiation isn't a one-time event. It's a skill you can continuously refine. Think of the moment when a colleague or client acquisition effort was far more successful because they clearly articulated their unique value and backed it up with market data. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to understanding their worth and articulating it, not just their performance alone. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from hope to strategy by systematically researching market compensation for your skills and contributions. Take a moment to consider the cumulative impact of even a small increase in your annual income, compounded over several years. Your micro action for this section: dedicate 15 minutes today to researching current market rates for your specific role and skill set using credible salary benchmarks and industry reports. Know your value, command your worth. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. Many individuals fall into the trap of viewing negotiation as a zero-sum game, where one party's gain must inherently be another's loss. This deeply ingrained status quo leads to rigid stances, missed opportunities, and ultimately suboptimal outcomes that hinder income growth and client acquisition. The core principle for truly maximizing your financial power and accelerating your freedom is to consistently create mutually beneficial agreements. The first thing to grasp is that a win-win approach builds long-term relationships and trust, which are invaluable assets for your career strategy and future client acquisition. Many professionals discover that focusing solely on their own gain in a negotiation can burn bridges, making future collaborations or higher leverage opportunities impossible. Consider a time when a negotiation felt adversarial. The tension itself often limited the potential value for everyone involved. This can impact your long-term income growth and job escape. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that there are often more variables to negotiate than just price. Think of the moment when a salary negotiation involved not just the base figure, but also flexible hours, professional development budgets, or additional project autonomy, all of which indirectly contributed to your financial runway or skill stacking. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to identify and create value beyond the obvious, finding creative solutions that benefit both sides. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from a fixed pie mentality to an expansive one, constantly looking for ways to enlarge the pie for everyone involved. Take a moment to consider a recent interaction where a more collaborative negotiation mindset could have yielded better results for all parties. Your micro action for this section: list 3 ways a recent deal or agreement in your life could have been structured to benefit both parties even more. Negotiate for mutual gain. Build lasting wealth. Now here's where the real shift begins in your negotiation skills. A pervasive status quo for many professionals is that anxiety or discomfort prevents them from engaging in critical financial conversations, leading to significant negotiation mistakes. This emotional barrier slows income growth, restricts career strategy, and ultimately delays job escape. The core principle for overcoming this is to systematically build confidence through rigorous preparation and consistent practice. The first thing to grasp is that confidence isn't an innate trait. It's a developed skill, honed through intentional effort. Many professionals discover that feeling unprepared for a negotiation can trigger immense budget stress and a tendency to accept suboptimal terms, leaving money on the table. Consider a time when you had to give an important presentation. The more you rehearsed, the more confident and impactful you felt. The same applies to financial conversations, directly impacting your financial runway. Another factor that changes everything is that practice dramatically reduces the emotional intensity of negotiation. Think of the moment when a difficult conversation became easier because you had already mentally rehearsed potential objections and responses. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to skill stacking, treating negotiation like any other muscle that needs training. One shift that accelerates progress is to mentally and verbally rehearse your negotiation points until they feel natural and assertive, allowing you to articulate your value with clarity. Take a moment to identify a specific upcoming conversation where improved confidence could make a significant difference. Your micro action for this section: choose an upcoming small negotiation or a hypothetical one and rehearse the conversation aloud with a trusted friend or even in front of a mirror. Practice your power. Expand your potential, moving from theory into practice. A pervasive status quo for many aspiring freedom seekers is the uncomfortable reality of settling for less, often due to a deep-seated fear of rejection or a reluctance to challenge the presented terms. This hesitation leads to significant negotiation mistakes, eroding income growth, delaying financial runway building, and trapping individuals in less than ideal circumstances. The core principle for truly mastering your financial power is knowing precisely when and how to confidently walk away from unfavorable terms. The first thing to grasp is that your power in any negotiation is directly proportional to your willingness to walk away. Many professionals discover that accepting a mediocre job offer or a low-paying client contract simply because they fear not finding another ultimately costs them more in lost potential and prolonged job escape. Consider a time when you felt compelled to accept an offer that deep down didn't align with your worth. That feeling of compromise is a direct result of not having a clear walkaway point. This directly impacts your career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that having alternatives empowers your position. Think of the moment when someone you know confidently declined an inadequate offer, only to receive a far superior one shortly after. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic preparation, which includes identifying their non-negotiables and the point at which an agreement ceases to be beneficial. One shift that accelerates progress is recognizing that walking away from a bad deal creates space for a better one, preserving your time, energy, and financial resources for truly high-leverage opportunities. Take a moment to consider what accepting an unfavorable agreement truly costs you in time, energy, and lost potential. Your micro-action for this section: for your next significant financial decision or negotiation, define a clear walk-away point, a minimum threshold below which you will not proceed. Define your boundaries, secure your power. Chapter 9: Building Your Freedom Blueprint. I once knew a bright, ambitious individual named Sarah who constantly spoke about her dream of escaping her demanding corporate job to start her own consulting business. For years, she'd articulate her vision with passion, describing the freedom, the clients she'd serve, and the income she'd generate. Yet, every time we checked in, she was still in the same job, expressing the same frustrations. Her dream remained a beautiful, abstract concept, a phantom future that never quite materialized. She lacked a tangible bridge from her current reality to her desired one, feeling stuck beneath a self-imposed salary ceiling because the grand vision overwhelmed her, illustrating the frustration of dreams remaining abstract without a concrete plan. This scenario highlights the critical distinction between aspiration and achievement. The core principle for building your financial freedom is to confidently translate your desires into concrete, actionable steps. The pervasive status quo is allowing dreams to remain abstract, without the specific roadmap required for genuine progress. The first thing to grasp is that even the most ambitious career strategy begins with a single, measurable action. Many professionals discover that the overwhelming feeling associated with large goals, like building a multi-year financial runway, can be effectively overcome by breaking them down into small, digestible tasks. Consider a time when you successfully completed a complex project by simply focusing on one step at a time. This same discipline applies to your personal freedom blueprint. This directly impacts your income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that concrete steps provide tangible evidence of progress, fueling your motivation and building valuable skill stacking. Think of the moment when achieving a small, specific financial goal, like saving an extra $100 in a week, gave you the confidence to pursue a larger one. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their methodical approach to planning and execution, treating their personal finances and career strategy with the same rigor they apply to professional projects. One shift that accelerates progress is to shift from broad statements to specific, quantifiable objectives. Take a moment to consider how much more attainable your long-term goals feel when broken down into manageable components. Your micro-action for this section: outline your personal financial freedom roadmap for the next 90 days, detailing 3 specific, measurable actions you will take in the areas of income, savings, or skill development. Define your path, build your freedom. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Many individuals, in their earnest desire for financial freedom, fall into the alluring trap of the status quo, chasing get-rich-quick schemes. They scan headlines for overnight successes or subscribe to theories promising immediate wealth, overlooking the profound truth that financial freedom is not a lottery win, but a deliberate, sustained journey. This often leads to budget stress and risky transitions, pushing job escape further away. The core principle for lasting success is embracing this journey mindset, committing to consistent, strategic effort rather than instant gratification. The first thing to grasp is that true wealth and sustainable freedom are built incrementally through consistent, focused actions. Many professionals discover that the siren song of rapid gains often leads to negotiation mistakes or significant losses, whereas disciplined saving, skill development, and strategic investments steadily build their financial runway. Consider a time when a small, consistent effort, like daily learning or weekly savings, accumulated into a substantial result. This principle is foundational to income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that the journey builds genuine competence and leverage. Think of the moment when years of dedicated skill stacking enabled you to command higher rates or successfully launch an independent venture, providing a solid foundation for your career strategy. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their patience and commitment to mastering valuable market skills, rather than hoping for a single breakthrough. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on compounding small wins, ensuring each step builds upon the last. Take a moment to acknowledge how real growth often feels slow at first, before it gains momentum. Your micro-action for this section: identify one realistic, consistent step you can take today towards a long-term financial goal. Embrace the process, for the journey itself is the foundation of your freedom. Build diligently, live freely. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A critical obstacle to achieving financial freedom or successful job escape is the widespread status quo of setting vague, ill-defined goals. Without clarity, dreams remain elusive, easily abandoned amidst the daily grind and budget stress. The core principle for building an effective freedom blueprint is to make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, the SMART framework. The first thing to grasp is that specific goals act as a precise compass, guiding your actions and making career strategy far more effective. Many professionals discover that a goal like make more money yields little progress, whereas generate an additional $500 in side income by October 31st through freelance writing provides a clear target and pathway for income growth. Consider a time when you received unclear instructions for a work project. The confusion and wasted effort perfectly illustrate the pitfalls of vague goals. Another factor that changes everything is that measurable goals provide tangible proof of progress, fueling your motivation and building valuable skill stacking. Think of the moment when tracking your progress on a savings goal, seeing the numbers grow, reinforced your commitment. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in quantifying their aspirations, allowing them to track their financial runway and make data-driven decisions. One shift that accelerates progress is to view your goals not as wishful thinking, but as actionable projects with clear deliverables. Take a moment to consider how much more motivated you feel when you have a clear, tangible target to aim for. Your micro-action for this section: take one of your current financial or career goals and rewrite it using the SMART framework, ensuring it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Clarify your vision, chart your course. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A significant hurdle for many individuals pursuing job escape or income growth is the status quo of feeling utterly overwhelmed by massive, long-term objectives. The sheer scale of a goal, like build a 2-year financial runway, can lead to paralysis and budget stress, causing dreams to be abandoned before they even begin. The core principle for effective progress is to deconstruct these large goals into manageable, bite-sized micro-steps. The first thing to grasp is that momentum is generated through small, consistent wins. Many professionals discover that trying to tackle a giant goal all at once is a recipe for frustration and negotiation mistakes, while breaking it down creates clarity and reduces anxiety. Consider a time when you successfully organized a complex event or project by meticulously planning out each small task. This same disciplined approach applies to your personal freedom blueprint and career strategy. This directly impacts your ability to achieve significant financial freedom. Another factor that changes everything is that micro steps provide immediate, positive feedback, reinforcing your efforts and building valuable skill stacking. Think of the moment when completing a small daily task, like researching market skills for 10 minutes, gave you a sense of accomplishment that fueled your motivation for the next step. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to translate audacious visions into daily habits, making progress inevitable. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from a mentality of "I need to do everything" to what is the single smallest step I can take right now. Take a moment to consider one large goal that currently feels overwhelming and how a micro-step approach could transform it. Your micro-action for this section: take a 6-month financial freedom goal and break it down into weekly, actionable tasks you can consistently accomplish. Simplify your path, amplify your progress. Now here's where the real shift begins. For many, the initial enthusiasm for financial freedom or job escape often fades, leading to the frustrating status quo of losing steam and abandoning goals. Dreams of income growth and a robust financial runway fall by the wayside, not due to lack of desire, but lack of structure. The core principle for sustained progress is to deliberately build systems that keep you on track and relentlessly motivated. The first thing to grasp is that your commitment to a system outweighs fleeting motivation. Many professionals discover that relying solely on willpower is unsustainable, leading to inconsistent effort in skill stacking or managing budget stress. Consider a time when a simple routine, like a morning exercise habit, kept you going even on days you didn't feel like it. That consistent framework is vital for your financial journey. This applies directly to building your job escape strategy. Another factor that changes everything is the power of external accountability and structured feedback. Think of the moment when committing to a deadline with a boss or a client acquisition target with a mentor significantly boosted your follow through. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive creation of support structures, whether it's a dedicated financial planning review or a weekly check in with a peer. One shift that accelerates progress is moving beyond solitary effort and leveraging positive external pressure. Take a moment to consider how a simple, consistent system could transform your most challenging financial goal. Ultimately, your freedom blueprint thrives on consistent action, not just initial enthusiasm. Your micro action for this section: share one of your specific financial goals with a trusted friend or mentor this week and discuss how you plan to stay accountable. Build your systems, secure your future. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. A common and often costly status quo for many pursuing financial freedom is the rigid adherence to an initial plan, even when new information or changing circumstances dictate otherwise. This inflexibility can lead to significant negotiation mistakes, prolonged budget stress, and ultimately, a stalled journey toward job escape. The core principle for building a resilient freedom blueprint is to continuously adjust and optimize your plan as you progress, embracing an agile mindset. The first thing to grasp is that your initial plan is a starting point, not an immutable law. Many professionals discover that market conditions, personal circumstances, and even your own evolving skill stacking will provide invaluable feedback that necessitates adjustments to your career strategy. Consider a time when you held firm to a project deadline, ignoring new obstacles, only to face greater issues later. The same applies to your financial objectives. This impacts your income growth and runway building. Another factor that changes everything is that flexibility is a hallmark of true strategic thinking. Think of the moment when a slight pivot in your approach opened up a completely new, more profitable client acquisition channel. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their regular review of their progress, proactively identifying what's working, what isn't, and where opportunities for optimization lie. One shift that accelerates progress is treating your blueprint not as a finished document, but as a living, breathing guide to be refined and improved. Take a moment to consider how recent experiences might already be signaling a need for a minor adjustment in your own financial or career plans. This iterative process ensures your path to financial freedom remains dynamic and effective. Stay agile, stay free. Chapter 10: The Side Hustle Accelerator. I had a client, David, who possessed a brilliant idea for a niche online course. He spent nearly a year meticulously planning every module, perfecting slide decks, endlessly debating pricing strategies, and striving for a flawless website. He was convinced it had to be absolute perfection before launch. Meanwhile, a colleague of his with a far less polished concept simply put up a basic landing page, offered a mini workshop, and within weeks had paying customers and invaluable market feedback. David's relentless perfectionism, his need for every detail to be just right, kept him stuck in his unfulfilling job, watching his financial runway stagnate, while his colleague quickly validated their idea and began generating income, perfectly illustrating how analysis paralysis prevents job escape. This scenario underscores a vital truth for accelerating your financial freedom. The core principle is to rapidly launch and validate side hustle concepts, not to perfect them in isolation. The pervasive status quo of perfectionism and analysis paralysis is a significant barrier to income growth. The first thing to grasp is that an imperfect launch is always superior to a pristine, never-launched idea. Many professionals discover that overthinking leads to negotiation mistakes with themselves, where they trade potential earnings for theoretical perfection, creating unnecessary budget stress. Consider a time when a quick and dirty solution at work, though not ideal, allowed you to move forward and ultimately achieve the larger goal. This agility is crucial for side hustles. Another factor that changes everything is that the market will tell you what it wants far more effectively than your internal planning ever will. Think of the moment when client acquisition became easy because you listened to actual feedback and iterated rather than guessing. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their bias toward action and experimentation. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing the philosophy of minimum viable offerings to gain real-world traction, allowing you to build skill stacking through practical application. Take a moment to consider how much faster you could move if you released an 80% complete version of an idea. Your micro action for this section: brainstorm 3 quick launch side hustle ideas that you could test with minimal effort or investment within the next week. Launch quickly, learn faster. This insight naturally leads us forward. A significant inhibitor for many aspiring side hustlers is the status quo of fear. Fear of competition, fear that their idea isn't unique enough, or fear that the market is already saturated. This fear prevents them from even entering a market, stifling income growth and delaying job escape. The core principle for accelerating your side hustle success is to intentionally niche down and provide truly unique value. The first thing to grasp is that a smaller, well-served niche often provides more opportunity than a broad, competitive one. Many professionals discover that trying to appeal to everyone leads to client acquisition friction and budget stress, as their message gets lost in the noise. Consider a time when you needed a very specific solution to a problem. You likely valued a specialist far more than a generalist and were willing to pay for that precision. This directly impacts your career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is that niching allows you to build deeper expertise and more effective skill stacking, establishing you as an authority. Think of the moment when someone became the go-to person for a very specific problem in your industry. Their narrow focus made them invaluable. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic focus on a particular segment of the market where they can truly shine. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from trying to be good at everything to being exceptional at something specific for a defined audience. This increases your leverage and builds your financial runway. Take a moment to consider where your unique combination of skills could best serve a very specific, underserved group. Your micro action for this section: take one of your current side hustle ideas and identify a specific niche or subgroup within that market you could exclusively serve with unique value. Focus your efforts, multiply your impact. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A common and costly status quo for many aspiring side hustlers is overspending on unproven ideas. They invest heavily in elaborate websites, custom branding, or extensive product development before confirming genuine market demand. This significant negotiation mistake drains precious financial runway, exacerbates budget stress, and delays any hope of job escape. The core principle for truly accelerating your side hustle and building sustainable income growth is to start with minimal investment and rigorously test market demand. The first thing to grasp is that high investment doesn't guarantee high returns, especially for a new venture. Many professionals discover that pouring substantial capital into an unvalidated concept prematurely can quickly lead to financial strain and a sense of defeat. Consider a time when you saw someone passionately invest thousands into a hobby that never found an audience. The financial setback was entirely avoidable. This directly impacts your career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is that market validation is far more valuable than perfect polish in the early stages. Think of the moment when a simple, low-cost offering, perhaps a basic service or digital product, generated crucial feedback and early sales, allowing for intelligent iteration rather than costly assumptions. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their entrepreneurial agility and resourcefulness, leveraging existing skills and free tools to prove demand. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing a lean startup mentality, focusing on generating the first dollar of revenue with the least possible outlay, thereby building valuable skill stacking through practical application. Take a moment to consider how you could leverage what you already have to start generating value today, rather than buying something new. This lean approach minimizes risk and maximizes learning, ensuring your journey to financial freedom is built on proven demand, not speculation. Launch lean, learn fast. Now here's where the real shift begins. A prevalent and costly status quo for many aspiring side hustlers is the trap of building a great product or service in isolation, only to find they have no audience. This leads to profound frustration, wasted effort, and a significant delay in achieving income growth or job escape. The core principle for truly accelerating your side hustle is to effectively attract your first customers from day one. The first thing to grasp is that even the most innovative offering has zero value if no one knows it exists or understands its benefit. Many professionals discover that their meticulous skill stacking and dedication to creating perfection are rendered useless if they don't actively engage in client acquisition, leading to budget stress. Consider a time when you saw a brilliant local business close, not because their product was bad, but because nobody knew about it. This is a direct parallel to an unmarketed side hustle. Another factor that changes everything is that early customer interaction provides invaluable market feedback, shaping your career strategy. Think of the moment when a simple conversation with a potential client revealed a core need you hadn't anticipated, allowing you to tailor your offering for greater impact. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to finding and engaging their ideal audience, understanding that marketing is not an afterthought, but an integral part of value creation. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on direct outreach and leveraging free channels to establish initial connections and build your financial runway. Take a moment to consider where your ideal customer spends their time online or offline. Your micro-action for this section: identify one free marketing channel, be it a professional network, a specific online community, or direct personal outreach, and plan how you will use it to attract your first potential customer for your side hustle. Connect with purpose. Generate revenue. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A critical status quo that often limits the potential of side hustles is treating them as temporary, secondary activities, neglecting their systematic growth. This mindset keeps income generation stagnant, perpetuates budget stress, and ultimately delays your journey toward financial freedom and job escape. The core principle for truly accelerating your side income is to systematically nurture and expand it, just as you would a primary business. The first thing to grasp is that even small, consistent efforts to improve your side hustle can lead to significant income growth over time. Many professionals discover that leaving their side venture on autopilot means missing opportunities to increase rates or attract more clients. Consider a time when a minor adjustment to your resume or presentation significantly boosted your career strategy. The same strategic thinking applies here. Another factor that changes everything is viewing your side hustle as a valuable asset that contributes directly to your financial runway. Think of the moment when actively seeking feedback from clients or refining your market skills allowed you to offer a more premium service, leading to higher client acquisition and better negotiation terms. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their dedication to skill stacking and continuous improvement within their side ventures. One shift that accelerates progress is to regularly allocate a small portion of time each week to actively strategize for growth, whether that's learning a new related skill, optimizing your offerings, or seeking more efficient ways to deliver value. Take a moment to consider your side hustle not as a temporary gig, but as a potential pathway to significant financial leverage. Your micro-action for this section: outline one specific, actionable way you could increase your side hustle's current revenue by 10% within the next month, then commit to implementing it. Grow strategically, live freely, moving from theory into practice. A pervasive and often self-defeating status quo for many aspiring entrepreneurs is letting their main job consume all available time and energy, leaving their side hustle consistently neglected. This imbalance prevents income growth, stalls financial runway building, and ultimately delays job escape. The core principle for accelerating your side hustle is to intentionally and systematically integrate it into your already busy schedule. The first thing to grasp is that consistent, small blocks of time devoted to your side hustle accumulate into significant progress. Many professionals discover that waiting for a large, uninterrupted chunk of time is a luxury that rarely appears, leading to a constant cycle of procrastination and budget stress. Consider a time when you successfully tackled a complex personal project by simply committing 15 minutes a day. This same discipline is vital for nurturing your venture. This directly impacts the speed at which you build your financial runway. Another factor that changes everything is treating your side hustle not as a casual hobby, but as a strategic investment in your future career strategy. Think of the moment when you meticulously scheduled a crucial meeting or client acquisition effort for your main job, applying that same rigor to your side hustle. Time demonstrates its importance and builds valuable skill stacking. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to protecting this dedicated time, recognizing it as a direct pathway to leverage and freedom. One shift that accelerates progress is proactively blocking out specific, non-negotiable slots for your side hustle in your weekly calendar. Take a moment to consider how much your side hustle could grow if you consistently guarded even a small amount of time for it each day. Your micro action for this section: look at your schedule this week and explicitly block out a minimum of 1 dedicated hour for your side hustle activity. Prioritize your future. Claim your time. Chapter 11. Protecting your financial fortress. I once advised a client, Mark, who was meticulously planning his exit from a demanding corporate role to launch his own venture. He had a solid business idea and had even started some preliminary skill stacking, but a sudden, unexpected medical emergency hit his family. Without a robust emergency fund, his meticulous plans crumbled. What was meant to be a strategic transition turned into a desperate scramble to cover bills, forcing him to take on extra shifts at his existing job, delaying his entrepreneurial dreams indefinitely. His experience vividly illustrates the precariousness of living one crisis away from financial disaster, highlighting why a safety net is not just a luxury, but a non-negotiable foundation for job escape. This scenario underscores a fundamental truth for sustained financial freedom. The core principle is to build a robust safety net for unexpected events, transforming potential setbacks into manageable detours. The first thing to grasp is that an emergency fund isn't just about weathering financial storms. It's your primary source of leverage and optionality in your career strategy. Many professionals discover that without this buffer, they are prone to negotiation mistakes, accepting suboptimal job offers or client acquisition terms out of sheer budget stress. Consider a time when a lack of immediate funds dictated a major life decision. That feeling of constraint directly impacts your long-term income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that a fully funded safety net provides the ultimate peace of mind, allowing you to take calculated risks toward your freedom goals. Think of the moment when knowing you had several months of expenses covered gave you the courage to say no to a demanding boss or pursue a high-potential, albeit initially low-paying, opportunity. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in treating their financial runway as sacrosanct. One shift that accelerates progress is recognizing that building this financial fortress is not a cost, but an essential investment in your future autonomy and job escape. Take a moment to consider how much more confidently you could approach career changes or new ventures with a substantial safety net in place. Your micro action for this section: calculate your ideal emergency fund amount, typically 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses, and establish a clear plan to fund it. Fortify your finances, empower your future. With that foundation in place, let's delve into a critical aspect of safeguarding your financial future. A prevalent status quo for many is ignoring significant financial risks until it's too late. This passive approach can unravel years of hard work, compromise your financial runway, and utterly derail job escape. The core principle for long-term wealth is proactive protection, meticulously fortifying your financial fortress. The first thing to grasp is that insurance isn't an expense, but an essential defense against catastrophic budget stress. Many professionals discover that neglecting adequate coverage, whether for health or property, leaves them vulnerable to negotiation mistakes and forced compromises when a crisis hits. Consider a time when someone you knew faced a major unexpected cost, like a car accident or medical emergency, without the right insurance. The financial fallout often forced them back into an undesirable job or depleted savings, halting income growth efforts. Another factor that changes everything is that the true cost of neglecting protection far outweighs any premium. Think of the moment when a single unforeseen event could force you to empty your emergency fund or go into debt simply due to a lack of proper coverage. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that robust protection frees up mental bandwidth to focus on skill stacking and higher leverage career strategy. One shift that accelerates progress is embracing regular policy reviews, ensuring coverage aligns with your current life stage and financial goals. Take a moment to consider where you might be vulnerable to an unforeseen financial shock. Protecting your assets is as crucial as growing them, ensuring your journey to financial freedom remains resilient. Cover your bases, secure your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. Many individuals, in their earnest pursuit of financial freedom, fall into the common status quo of either paying for unnecessary insurance features or, more dangerously, being critically underinsured for major risks. This imbalance drains resources, perpetuates budget stress, and ultimately hinders your financial runway and job escape efforts. The core principle for true financial stability is to understand and secure only the essential coverages that effectively shield you from significant financial disaster. The first thing to grasp is that understanding what you truly need prevents both overpayment and dangerous gaps. Many professionals discover that neglecting adequate foundational coverage, whether for health or property, leaves them vulnerable to catastrophic negotiation mistakes when a crisis hits. Consider a time when someone bought an expensive, complex life insurance policy with investment components while simultaneously lacking sufficient disability income protection. This skewed priority drains resources without providing true security against the most likely threats to income growth. Another factor that changes everything is that the true cost of being uninsured far outweighs any premium savings. Think of the moment when a major life event, like a disabling illness, entirely derailed someone's career path simply because they lacked adequate disability coverage. This single oversight can undo years of skill stacking and meticulous financial planning. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic allocation of resources towards comprehensive yet lean protection. One shift that accelerates progress is aligning your insurance portfolio with your current life stage and exit planning, ensuring every premium dollar provides maximum protection and peace of mind. Take a moment to consider where you might be either overprotected with unnecessary features or dangerously underprotected in essential areas. Your micro action for this section: research term life insurance if you have dependents, understanding its purpose and how it can protect your financial fortress without unnecessary cost. Insure wisely, live confidently. This insight naturally leads us forward. A critical, yet frequently avoided, status quo for many pursuing financial freedom is neglecting crucial conversations about inheritance and legacy. This avoidance can lead to significant family friction, financial burden, and the potential erosion of your hard-earned financial runway, ultimately undermining the very security you sought through job escape and income growth. The core principle for truly protecting your financial fortress is to proactively secure your legacy and ensure your loved ones are cared for, no matter what. The first thing to grasp is that estate planning isn't solely for the ultra-wealthy. It's a fundamental component of responsible financial management for everyone. Many professionals discover that without clear directives, their families face immense budget stress and bureaucratic headaches during an already difficult time. Consider a time when you heard about a family dispute over assets after someone passed without a will. That emotional and financial friction is entirely avoidable with thoughtful planning. This impacts how your skill stacking and career strategy benefit your beneficiaries. Another factor that changes everything is that explicit planning provides clarity and prevents negotiation mistakes or misunderstandings among family members. Think of the moment when a lack of clear communication in a professional setting led to wasted time and resources. The stakes are far higher when it comes to family and legacy. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their holistic approach to wealth, understanding that growing assets is only half the equation. Preserving them for future generations is equally vital. One shift that accelerates progress is viewing legacy planning as an extension of your overall financial freedom strategy, ensuring your efforts create a lasting positive impact. Take a moment to consider the peace of mind that comes from knowing your loved ones would be financially secure and your wishes honored. Your micro action for this section: list 3 people you would want to inherit your assets and begin thinking about your intentions for each. Plan with purpose, protect with care. Now here's where the real shift begins. A prevalent and profoundly dangerous status quo for many individuals is being vulnerable to digital and physical threats against their personal and financial information. This oversight can lead to identity theft, compromised accounts, significant budget stress, and a complete unraveling of your financial runway, severely jeopardizing any plan for job escape or income growth. The core principle for a truly secure financial fortress is to diligently safeguard your personal and financial information. The first thing to grasp is that security is an ongoing process, not a one-time setup. Many professionals discover that even after an initial effort, complacency sets in, leaving them vulnerable to evolving threats and potential negotiation mistakes. Consider a time when a simple oversight, like using the same password across multiple platforms, led to a security breach for someone you know. The cleanup effort and financial toll can be immense. This directly impacts your career strategy and peace of mind. Another factor that changes everything is that preventative measures are always less costly and less stressful than reactive damage control. Think of the moment when actively monitoring your financial statements caught a fraudulent charge before it spiraled into a larger issue. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in implementing robust security practices, treating their digital footprint with the same care as their physical assets. One shift that accelerates progress is establishing regular routines for reviewing accounts, updating passwords, and understanding common phishing tactics, thereby protecting your skill stacking and future earnings. Take a moment to reflect on your current digital habits and identify one area where you could enhance your security. Your micro action for this section: check your credit report for any suspicious activity and review your online financial accounts for unauthorized transactions. Secure your data, protect your wealth. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. A pervasive and often costly status quo for many pursuing financial freedom is operating without necessary legal safeguards, leaving their assets and their loved ones vulnerable. This oversight can lead to immense budget stress, legal battles, and the significant erosion of a meticulously built financial runway, ultimately jeopardizing job escape and long-term income growth. The core principle for a truly resilient financial fortress is to understand and implement basic legal protections for your assets and your legacy. The first thing to grasp is that legal planning is not a luxury for the wealthy, but a foundational element of sound career strategy for everyone. Many professionals discover that neglecting essential documents like a will can complicate asset distribution, create unnecessary friction among family members, and even lead to unintended beneficiaries, negating years of diligent skill stacking. Consider a time when a lack of clear documentation stalled a critical business deal. The same delays and frustrations can occur with personal estates at a far greater emotional cost. Another factor that changes everything is that proper legal structures provide clarity and peace of mind, minimizing future negotiation mistakes and familial disputes. Think of the moment when having a clear contract prevented a disagreement with a client. Similar clarity is vital for your personal financial directives. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to asset protection, ensuring their wealth serves their intended purpose, both during their lifetime and beyond. One shift that accelerates progress is recognizing that safeguarding your legacy is an integral part of achieving complete financial freedom. Take a moment to consider the impact you wish your financial efforts to have on your loved ones and your future. Your micro action for this section: research the importance of a will or a living trust and how these documents protect your assets and fulfill your intentions. Plan legally, live securely. Chapter 12. The Financial Freedom Exit Strategy. I once worked with Sarah, who, miserable in her corporate job, impulsively resigned one stressful Monday. She thought quitting would magically open doors to job escape. Instead, within weeks, exhilaration was replaced by crippling budget stress as her financial runway quickly dwindled. Without a clear income growth strategy, she scrambled, eventually taking a mediocre job out of necessity, pushing her further from true freedom. Her experience underscores the profound risk of rushing into quitting without a deliberate plan. This highlights a critical phase. The core principle is to strategically plan your transition to full freedom, avoiding the status quo of impulsively quitting. The first thing to grasp is that a well-defined exit strategy transforms a risky leap into a calculated transition. Many professionals discover impulsive decisions often lead to negotiation mistakes and unnecessary financial pressure, undermining years of skill stacking. Consider how meticulous planning enabled a project's success. Your job escape deserves similar rigor. Take a moment to consider where a lack of foresight has cost you in the past. Another factor that changes everything is that a deliberate plan allows you to optimize earning power and build your financial runway before you sever ties. What separates consistent earners is their ability to leverage their current position to prepare for a more autonomous phase. One shift that accelerates progress is dedicating specific time to refine market skills and secure initial client acquisition, ensuring a smooth handoff from salary to self-generated income. Your micro-action for this section: set a specific, realistic target date for achieving full financial freedom or job escape and mark it on your calendar. A planned exit is a powerful launch. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A deeply ingrained and often destructive status quo for many aspiring to financial freedom is the belief that one must take reckless, impulsive risks to escape their current job. This mindset frequently leads to burning bridges, immense budget stress, and ultimately, a stalled journey to job escape. The core principle for truly sustainable financial freedom and a confident exit is that strategic transitions involve thorough, meticulous preparation. The first thing to grasp is that a well-prepared exit is not a leap of faith, but a calculated step forward. Many professionals discover that impulsive decisions often lead to significant negotiation mistakes, compromising their future earning power. Consider a time when a colleague or friend, fed up with boss dynamics, quit without a plan, only to regret the financial pressure and limited options. That experience highlights the importance of a buffer. Another factor that changes everything is that preparation allows you to build a robust financial runway and enhance your market skills, directly impacting your career strategy. Think of the moment when having a clear strategy allowed you to approach a challenge with calm confidence rather than panic. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in using their current employment to strategically prepare for their next chapter, whether it's building skill stacking or securing initial client acquisition. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on tangible, measurable milestones that must be in place before you consider your exit, ensuring your transition is built on strength, not desperation. Take a moment to consider how much more confident and secure your transition could be with deliberate planning. Your micro-action for this section: identify 3 specific things that need to be concretely in place, financially, skill-wise, or market-tested before you consider resigning from your current role. Plan meticulously, exit powerfully. Moving from theory into practice. A significant and often overlooked status quo for many pursuing job escape is underestimating the absolute necessity for consistent replacement cash flow. This oversight can quickly lead to immense budget stress, rapid depletion of a financial runway, and ultimately a forced return to traditional employment, derailing the entire financial freedom strategy. The core principle for a truly smooth and successful transition is to ensure you have a validated, reliable stream of replacement income before you make your exit. The first thing to grasp is that an income vacuum, however brief, can create immediate and severe pressure. Many professionals discover that the initial euphoria of quitting quickly fades when bills pile up, forcing them into negotiation mistakes for less than ideal client acquisition opportunities, or even taking a bridging job that undermines their skill stacking efforts. Consider a time when someone you knew quit impulsively, only to scramble for income, eroding their savings and peace of mind. Another factor that changes everything is that confidence in your earning power allows for strategic, not desperate, decision-making. Think of the moment when your side hustle or investing income covered a significant portion of your expenses, providing a tangible sense of leverage. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in validating and growing their alternative income streams until they meet or exceed their current living expenses. One shift that accelerates progress is treating your replacement income development with the same rigor as a mission-critical project at your main job, recognizing it as the direct pathway to your true career strategy. Take a moment to truly envision the security that comes with having your living expenses reliably covered by your own endeavors. Your micro-action for this section: project your current side hustle or alternative income against your desired financial freedom income, identifying the precise gap you still need to bridge. Validate your freedom. Secure your transition. Now here's where the real shift begins. A common and often debilitating status quo for individuals nearing their financial freedom goal is forgetting or overlooking critical financial and logistical details in their final preparations. This oversight can lead to unexpected budget stress, administrative headaches, and even delay the ultimate job escape. The core principle for a truly seamless and confident transition is to follow a step-by-step guide to your final preparations, ensuring nothing is left to chance. The first thing to grasp is that meticulous attention to detail at this stage can prevent significant future issues. Many professionals discover that neglecting simple tasks like transferring retirement accounts or understanding health insurance options after leaving their employer can create unnecessary negotiation mistakes and financial friction. Consider a time when a major project at work succeeded because every last detail was checked and double-checked. Your personal financial freedom deserves the same rigor. Another factor that changes everything is that this final preparation phase solidifies your financial runway and empowers your new career strategy. Think of the moment when having all your documents in order for a critical client acquisition helped you close the deal with confidence. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their methodical approach to both income growth and the logistical aspects of their exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is creating a comprehensive checklist of all financial, legal, and administrative tasks required for your transition, encompassing everything from health benefits to outstanding debts, ensuring your skill stacking is ready to be fully unleashed. Take a moment to consider any potential blind spots or neglected details in your current exit planning. Your micro-action for this section: start a detailed checklist of all the financial, administrative, and logistical tasks that need to be completed before your freedom day, no matter how small. Prepare thoroughly, transition confidently. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A regrettably common status quo for many leaving traditional employment is burning bridges or departing abruptly, often fueled by frustration with boss dynamics or burnout. This impulsive behavior can severely damage professional reputation, close doors to future opportunities, and create unnecessary client acquisition friction in your new venture, ultimately hindering your income growth and financial runway. The core principle for a truly successful job escape is to handle your departure professionally and respectfully, preserving valuable relationships. The first thing to grasp is that your professional network is a lifelong asset, far more valuable than temporary satisfaction from an angry exit. Many professionals discover that even in a digital world, reputations precede them, impacting future negotiation mistakes or career strategy options. Consider a time when someone you knew left a job on bad terms, only to find it hampered their ability to get new clients or references years later. That negative ripple effect is entirely avoidable. Another factor that changes everything is that a graceful exit demonstrates maturity and strategic thinking, enhancing your personal brand and skill stacking. Think of the moment when a colleague's professional departure, despite challenging circumstances, left a positive impression on everyone. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that even when leaving a situation, maintaining professionalism opens doors rather than closing them. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on a smooth handover of responsibilities and a genuine expression of gratitude for the opportunities, regardless of your personal feelings, safeguarding your future earning power. Take a moment to consider how your departure could reflect positively on your personal brand and future endeavors. Your micro action for this section: draft a professional, respectful resignation letter template, focusing on a clear notice period and offering a smooth transition. Depart with grace. Build your legacy. There's a deeper layer worth exploring. A pervasive and often debilitating status quo for many who achieve financial freedom is struggling with a profound sense of lost purpose after leaving traditional employment. This oversight can create an emotional vacuum, leading to inertia and even regret, ultimately undermining the very joy and flexibility sought through job escape and income growth. The core principle for a truly fulfilling transition is to actively redefine yourself beyond your previous job title, stepping into a new, self-directed identity. The first thing to grasp is that true freedom isn't merely about escaping a job. It's about stepping into a more authentic, self-defined purpose. Many professionals discover that even after accumulating a substantial financial runway, a lack of clear direction or a failure to redefine themselves can lead to a surprising struggle with meaning. Consider a time when a colleague, after leaving a high-powered corporate role, found themselves adrift, unsure how to apply their considerable skill stacking without a predefined title. This is a common challenge that impacts overall career strategy and mental well-being. Another factor that changes everything is understanding that your diverse experiences and accumulated market skills are not just for your old job. They are the foundation for new, self-directed ventures. Think of the moment when you realized your negotiation mistakes from the past taught you valuable lessons for future client acquisition. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their proactive approach to envisioning and creating their next chapter, rather than passively waiting for opportunity. One shift that accelerates progress is deliberately brainstorming new projects, roles, or contributions that genuinely excite you and align with your values, ensuring continuous engagement and growth well beyond any single income source. Take a moment to consider how your past experiences and skills could be reimagined for a truly fulfilling, self-directed future. Your micro-action for this section: brainstorm at least 3 new roles or projects you could undertake, free from your previous job title, that genuinely align with your passions and leverage your unique capabilities. Redefine your identity. Expand your world. Chapter 13: Sustaining Perpetual Prosperity. I recall advising a client named Arthur, a brilliant engineer who, after years of dedicated skill stacking and savvy income growth, amassed a considerable fortune. He achieved his personal job escape decades ahead of schedule. However, his singular focus remained on accumulating more. He had a magnificent financial runway, yet never shifted his career strategy to thinking about the impact or preservation of that wealth beyond his immediate needs. After his passing, without clear directives or an established framework for its stewardship, his children, burdened by immediate inheritance taxes and lacking guidance, inadvertently began to dissipate the family fortune. What could have been a multi-generational legacy of prosperity and philanthropic impact slowly faded, not due to market downturns, but due to a lack of foresight in sustaining that prosperity. This experience underscores a critical truth. The core principle is to build lasting wealth for generations and impact, moving beyond the status quo of focusing solely on accumulation, not preservation. The first thing to grasp is that true prosperity extends beyond personal financial freedom. It encompasses the responsible stewardship of your accumulated resources. Many professionals discover that achieving their income growth targets is only the first step. The greater challenge lies in ensuring that wealth serves a lasting purpose. Consider a time when a business, after a successful founder retired, quickly declined because there was no succession plan or vision for the future. That's analogous to a personal fortune without a legacy plan. Another factor that changes everything is that consciously defining your legacy provides powerful direction for your ongoing financial and career strategy. Think of the moment when a clear, long-term vision transformed your daily decisions, giving them deeper meaning beyond immediate client acquisition or addressing budget stress. What separates consistent earners from the rest is not just their ability to generate wealth, but their intentionality in shaping its future. One shift that accelerates progress is moving from a mindset of simply getting more to a mindset of being a steward of what you have and proactively planning its impact for generations to come. This elevates your exit planning beyond personal satisfaction. Take a moment to truly consider what you want your wealth to represent, long after you've achieved your personal financial goals. Your micro action for this section: define what legacy truly means in your financial context, beyond simple inheritance, considering impact, values, and multi-generational well-being. This shift from accumulation to intentional impact is the hallmark of perpetual prosperity. Build beyond self, thrive through generations. This insight naturally leads us forward. A pervasive and dangerous status quo for many who achieve significant income growth is the belief that wealth, once built, needs no ongoing maintenance. This passive approach can lead to erosion through neglect, missed opportunities, and ultimately compromises the very financial runway and job escape you've meticulously built. The core principle for sustaining perpetual prosperity is recognizing that wealth management demands continuous active attention. The first thing to grasp is that your financial portfolio, like any complex system, requires regular calibration and adaptation. Many professionals discover that even after achieving substantial gains, failing to review their investments or budget can lead to lifestyle creep or hidden fees, subtly eroding their earning power. Consider a time when a well-performing project at work slowly drifted off track because key metrics weren't consistently monitored. Your wealth is no different. Another factor that changes everything is that market conditions, tax laws, and your personal career strategy are constantly evolving. Think of the moment when a shift in your market skills required you to update your professional strategy. Your financial plan needs similar vigilance to protect your financial fortress and exit planning. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their unwavering commitment to regular financial hygiene. One shift that accelerates progress is embedding consistent review cycles into your routine, ensuring your assets are always aligned with your goals and optimizing for future growth. This is critical for protecting the leverage you've built through skill stacking. Take a moment to reflect on your current habits. How much time do you actively dedicate to reviewing your wealth, not just accumulating it? Your micro action for this section: schedule a quarterly financial review for yourself, blocking out dedicated time in your calendar to assess your portfolio, budget, and overall financial strategy. Steward your wealth. Secure your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A silent yet incredibly destructive status quo for many pursuing financial freedom is letting inflation relentlessly erode the purchasing power of their hard-earned assets. This passive oversight can significantly shorten your financial runway, compromise your job escape strategy, and ultimately diminish your long-term prosperity. The core principle for sustaining perpetual prosperity is implementing active strategies to protect your wealth's purchasing power against inflationary pressures. The first thing to grasp is that simply accumulating wealth isn't enough. You must ensure that wealth retains its value over time. Many professionals discover that leaving significant capital in low-yield savings accounts, while seemingly safe, is actually a guarantee of losing buying power. Consider a time when the cost of everyday goods or a major purchase, like a home, unexpectedly increased, making your savings worth less than you anticipated. That's the insidious effect of unchecked inflation on your budget. Another factor that changes everything is that ignoring inflation is a significant negotiation mistake against your own future self. Think of the moment when a salary ceiling felt restrictive because your expenses kept climbing despite your income growth. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their strategic understanding of market dynamics and their proactive approach to investing. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously diversifying your portfolio with assets known to hedge against inflation, such as real estate, commodities, or inflation-protected securities, ensuring your skill stacking efforts translate into lasting value. This is a critical component of truly effective exit planning. Take a moment to consider how much more confidently you could plan for your future if you knew your wealth was actively fighting inflation. Your micro action for this section: research investment options that historically hedge against inflation and consider how they might fit into your long-term portfolio strategy. Protect your power, preserve your future. This insight naturally leads us forward. A common and financially detrimental status quo for many individuals is allowing their investment portfolio to drift away from their established risk tolerance and long-term goals. This passive neglect can lead to unnecessary budget stress during market fluctuations, erode your financial runway, and ultimately compromise your job escape strategy and income growth. The core principle for sustaining perpetual prosperity is to actively adjust your investments to consistently maintain your desired risk tolerance. The first thing to grasp is that market performance inherently causes your asset allocation to shift. Many professionals discover that a portfolio initially balanced can become overly concentrated in higher performing assets, unknowingly increasing risk. Consider a time when a project team, after initial success, became unbalanced by focusing too heavily on one aspect, leading to future problems. Your investments behave similarly. This impacts your overall career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is that your personal risk tolerance itself evolves with age, life events, and changing financial goals. Think of the moment when a major life change, like starting a family or nearing exit planning, altered your comfort level with market volatility. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their discipline in regularly rebalancing their portfolio, ensuring it aligns with their current life stage and financial fortress. One shift that accelerates progress is establishing an annual or semi-annual review process to systematically bring your asset allocation back into target, thereby protecting your skill stacking and the fruits of your labor. Take a moment to consider if your current investment portfolio truly reflects your comfort level with risk today. Your micro action for this section: review your current asset allocation percentages across all your investment accounts and compare them to your ideal target allocation. Rebalance with discipline. Invest with intent. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A common and often short-sighted status quo for many pursuing financial freedom is overlooking the immense power of philanthropy, focusing solely on personal accumulation rather than leveraging wealth to make a meaningful difference. This oversight can lead to a sense of unfulfilled purpose and, surprisingly, may even limit strategic tax benefits, ultimately diminishing the broader impact of your hard-earned financial runway and skill stacking. The core principle for sustaining perpetual prosperity is to actively utilize your wealth to make a tangible, meaningful difference in the world. The first thing to grasp is that true prosperity extends beyond your personal balance sheet. It encompasses the positive ripple effect you create. Many professionals discover that once they achieve their personal income growth targets and job escape, a deeper desire for impact emerges. Consider a time when a business leader, despite immense personal wealth, felt unfulfilled until they began investing their resources and market skills into a cause they deeply believed in. This shift often provides a profound sense of purpose that financial accumulation alone cannot. Another factor that changes everything is that strategic giving can actually enhance your overall financial and career strategy, rather than detract from it. Think of the moment when a charitable contribution not only supported a vital cause, but also provided unexpected tax advantages, or connected you with a valuable network of like-minded individuals, far outweighing any perceived client acquisition friction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their understanding that generosity, when aligned with values, is a powerful form of leverage and a cornerstone of lasting legacy. One shift that accelerates progress is integrating planned giving into your financial blueprint from the outset, not as an afterthought. Take a moment to consider what causes or needs resonate most deeply with you now that you have more financial freedom. Your micro action for this section: identify one cause or organization you would like to support financially, even if starting with a modest contribution. Give with purpose, live with impact. Moving from theory into practice. A common and often silent destroyer of long-term prosperity is becoming complacent after achieving initial success, believing the work is done once financial freedom or job escape is reached. This dangerous status quo neglects the ever-changing landscape of finance and business, leading to missed opportunities, eroded financial runway, and a diminished income growth potential. The core principle for sustaining perpetual prosperity is to embrace lifelong learning and continuous adaptation, treating it as an ongoing, non-negotiable part of your career strategy. The first thing to grasp is that the world doesn't stand still. Many professionals discover that the market skills that led to their initial success can quickly become outdated if not continually refined. Consider a time when an industry veteran, despite years of experience, found themselves struggling with new technologies or business models, leading to a salary ceiling or even irrelevance. This impacts not only earning power, but also the very relevance of your skill stacking. Another factor that changes everything is that external economic forces and investment opportunities are in constant flux. Think of the moment when a major economic shift rendered a previously safe investment strategy risky, creating unexpected budget stress or negotiation mistakes. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their intellectual curiosity and dedication to staying informed, continuously adjusting their approach to client acquisition and wealth management. One shift that accelerates progress is integrating small, consistent learning habits into your daily or weekly routine. Take a moment to consider how recent changes in technology or global events have already shifted your perspective on wealth or career. Your micro-action for this section: commit to reading one article or listening to one podcast episode about a new financial trend or investment strategy this week. Embrace the journey of continuous learning, and your prosperity will not just endure, but perpetually evolve. Learn always, thrive forever. Chapter 14. The Unstoppable Entrepreneurial Path. I remember Michael, a talented software developer who, despite his exceptional skill stacking, felt increasingly stifled by the rigid salary ceilings and bureaucratic boss dynamics of his tech giant employer. He saw innovative solutions to industry-wide problems, yet his ideas were always filtered through layers of corporate approval, often diluted or discarded. The daily burnout was real, a deep frustration that he was merely a cog, not a creator. He was stuck in employee thinking, believing his career strategy was limited to climbing a predefined ladder. One evening, after venting about a persistent, unsolved problem in his own niche, a friend simply asked, "What if you solved it?" That question, shifting his perspective from a complaint to an opportunity, was the spark of his entrepreneurial path and eventual job escape. This story highlights a crucial distinction. The core principle now is to actively cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset for infinite possibility, moving beyond the limiting status quo of remaining stuck in employee thinking. The first thing to grasp is that an entrepreneurial mindset isn't solely about starting a business. It's a way of approaching problems and seeing opportunities in every situation, directly impacting your income growth. Many professionals discover that even within their current roles, adopting an owner's perspective can open doors to new projects, greater leverage, and higher earning power. Consider a time when someone you know transformed their job by taking initiative beyond their job description, creating value where none was seen before. Another factor that changes everything is that this mindset helps you identify market skills you already possess that can solve real-world problems, well beyond your current salary. Think of the moment when a common budget stress point in your life suddenly looked like a solvable problem for others. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to continually identify needs and create value, recognizing that every problem is a potential opportunity for client acquisition and building their financial runway. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously reframing challenges, both personal and professional, as puzzles to be solved, rather than obstacles to be endured. This proactive stance is essential for exit planning. Take a moment to consider how shifting your perspective from "what do I get paid for" to "what problems can I solve" changes your perception of opportunity. Your micro-action for this section: identify one problem you see in the world, however small, that you'd like to solve, and start to think about how your unique skills could contribute to a solution. Think like an owner. Create your future. Let's build directly on what we uncovered. A limiting and often self-sabotaging status quo for many aspiring to financial freedom is the deeply ingrained belief that only a select few are born entrepreneurs, destined for success, while others are simply meant for traditional employment. This mindset overlooks a fundamental truth. Entrepreneurship is not an inherited trait, but a learned skill, accessible to anyone committed to developing it. The core principle now is to understand that entrepreneurship is a learned skill, accessible to all. The first thing to grasp is that many core entrepreneurial competencies, problem solving, resilience, strategic thinking, and effective client acquisition, are precisely the same market skills you cultivate and refine in any successful career. Many professionals discover that the disciplined approach they apply to skill stacking in their job can be directly transferred to building their own ventures. Consider a time when you mastered a complex project at work, overcoming obstacles and learning new processes. That capacity for learning and execution is entrepreneurial fuel. Another factor that changes everything is realizing that every successful entrepreneur, regardless of their starting point, has faced challenges and made negotiation mistakes. Their success wasn't due to a lack of failure, but a relentless commitment to learning and adapting, continuously building their financial runway. Think of the moment when persistent budget stress forced you to innovate and find new solutions for your personal finances. That resourcefulness is a hallmark of entrepreneurial thinking. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to embrace continuous learning and adaptation, viewing every setback as a lesson for future income growth and exit planning. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously seeking out opportunities to apply your existing skills in creative, value-generating ways, even on a small scale. Take a moment to consider any skills you've mastered that you once thought were beyond your reach. Your micro-action for this section: research a successful entrepreneur who truly started with nothing, not just financially, but in terms of connections or formal training, and identify the key skills they developed. Learn the lessons. Build your empire. Now here's where the real shift begins. A common and paralyzing status quo for aspiring entrepreneurs is expecting perfection from their first attempt, leading to endless procrastination and a fear of launching. This pursuit of an unattainable ideal prevents valuable market feedback, stifles income growth, and ultimately drains one's financial runway. The core principle for an unstoppable entrepreneurial path is to continuously experiment, gather data, and refine your ideas, embracing iteration over flawless initial execution. The first thing to grasp is that every successful product or service you admire today started imperfectly and evolved through countless adjustments. Many professionals discover that their analytical skills from their corporate career, while valuable, can become a bottleneck if they prevent action. Consider a time when a boss demanded an impossible perfect report on the first draft, causing immense budget stress and hindering progress. Entrepreneurial ventures require a more agile approach. Another factor that changes everything is that real learning happens through doing and observing the results, especially in client acquisition. Think of the moment when a negotiation mistake taught you more than any textbook ever could about human psychology. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their willingness to put forth good enough ideas, test them with real users, and then adapt based on the feedback. One shift that accelerates progress is focusing on minimum viable products or small-scale tests that allow you to validate assumptions without significant investment, refining your skill stacking and career strategy as you go. This iterative approach is crucial for navigating risky transitions and preparing for job escape. Take a moment to consider an instance where a small, imperfect step forward yielded greater progress than waiting for a grand, perfect plan. Your micro-action for this section: brainstorm 3 small, actionable improvements you could make to an existing product or service you use regularly. Then consider how you might test one of those improvements yourself. Iterate, innovate, impact. With that foundation in place, a prevalent and often self-limiting status quo for new entrepreneurs is the belief that they must do everything alone, attempting to master every aspect of their business from client acquisition to financial strategy. This lone wolf mentality inevitably leads to burnout, slows income growth, and creates unnecessary negotiation mistakes and budget stress, severely limiting the scalability of their job escape. The core principle for an unstoppable entrepreneurial path is to strategically surround yourself with complementary skills and support. The first thing to grasp is that no single individual possesses every skill needed to build a robust, thriving enterprise. Many professionals discover that even with impressive skill stacking, trying to handle every task from marketing to legal inevitably leads to bottlenecks and inefficiency. Consider a time when a project at work became bogged down because one person insisted on doing everything, despite lacking expertise in certain areas. That's precisely what happens in solo entrepreneurship. Another factor that changes everything is that external support, whether through mentorship, outsourcing, or strategic partnerships, exponentially increases your leverage and financial runway. Think of the moment when delegating a task at your previous job freed you up to focus on higher value activities, moving past a salary ceiling. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their keen understanding of their own strengths and weaknesses, and their willingness to seek out and integrate others' expertise. One shift that accelerates progress is actively identifying areas where your market skills are weakest, or where tasks are highly time-consuming but low leverage, then seeking out skilled individuals or resources to fill those gaps. This is crucial for effective exit planning. Take a moment to consider where you're currently trying to do it all in your own endeavors, and where that is holding you back. Your micro-action for this section lists 3 specific roles or tasks you might eventually hire for in your business or seek expert help with, even if it's just a few hours a month. Collaborate to elevate, succeed together. This insight naturally leads us forward. A common and often short-sighted status quo for many aspiring entrepreneurs is focusing solely on profit, neglecting the deeper purpose or real problems their ventures could solve. This singular pursuit of financial gain, while not inherently wrong, often leads to short-lived success, a hollow feeling, and ultimately limits the sustainability of their income growth and job escape. The core principle for an unstoppable entrepreneurial path is to consciously create ventures that solve real problems and add undeniable value to the marketplace. The first thing to grasp is that genuine, sustainable income growth stems directly from creating significant value for others. Many professionals discover that even with impressive skill stacking, a business without a clear problem-solving mission can struggle with client acquisition friction and negotiation mistakes. Consider a time when a product you bought felt cheap or inconsequential because it clearly lacked purpose beyond profit. That experience mirrors ventures that focus solely on the bottom line. Another factor that changes everything is that a clear, value-driven mission naturally builds a more resilient financial runway and strengthens your overall career strategy. Think of the moment when you were inspired by a company that stood for something beyond its products, fostering loyalty. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their dedication to understanding market needs and building solutions that genuinely improve lives or solve pressing issues. One shift that accelerates progress is consciously defining the tangible positive impact your business could have beyond merely processing transactions. This elevates your exit planning from just leaving a job to creating a lasting contribution. Take a moment to consider how aligning your work with a clear purpose could deepen your sense of achievement. Your micro-action for this section: define the specific positive impact your future business or entrepreneurial endeavor could have on its target audience or the wider world. Serve with purpose, build with impact. Moving from theory into practice. A common and financially limiting status quo for many entrepreneurs is short-term thinking, where immediate client acquisition or solving the next budget stress point overshadows the vision for lasting impact. This narrow focus severely limits long-term potential, stifles sustainable income growth, and can make any job escape feel temporary rather than truly free. The core principle for an unstoppable entrepreneurial path is to consciously build ventures that outlast you, designed to create lasting change and enduring value. The first thing to grasp is that a business conceived with only immediate profit often struggles to attract sustained loyalty or overcome market fluctuations. Many professionals discover that even with exceptional skill stacking, a lack of long-term vision can lead to a feast or famine cycle, hindering their financial runway. Consider a time when a new product launched with great fanfare but quickly faded because it lacked a foundational purpose or a plan for evolution. That's the danger of short-term thinking in career strategy. Another factor that changes everything is that designing for longevity inherently creates more leverage and opportunities for impact. Think of the moment when a company's clear, enduring mission resonated deeply with you, inspiring trust beyond a single transaction. What separates consistent earners from the rest is their ability to envision not just a successful launch, but a thriving, evolving enterprise that continues to add value years down the line. One shift that accelerates progress is to proactively build systems and delegate tasks with the future in mind, transcending personal output to create an entity that can function and grow independently. This approach transforms your exit planning from merely leaving a job to establishing a legacy. Take a moment to consider how envisioning your business's impact 20 years from now changes your perspective on what you're building today. Your micro action for this section: envision your business's impact 20 years from now. What tangible change has it created? Who benefits? And how does it continue to operate? Build for enduring value. Leave a lasting mark.